Hello, welcome. It's almost HardLore time. Welcome everybody to this very special week on the show where we're finally joined by the great Pete Morcey of 100 Demons, a band we have celebrated and lauded on this show long before the show, honestly. This is a lifetime of love here. They were voted the hardest hardcore band of all time back in the hardest hardcore band bracket.
Hardest hardcore band of all time.
Holy
100 Demons.
And we're finally joined by Pete and my buddy Dan Seeley from King 9. Pete's musical career spans nearly 40 years at this point, and we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. And I need you to stick around. In the middle of this episode, there's a very special ghost story that I share that I think you're all going to enjoy. So without further ado, let's roll it. Hello, welcome. It's HardLore time. How you doing, Bo? What a beautiful day on the show. We are back with two very special guests. First, may I introduce my special guest co-host this evening from Long Island, New York, King 9 vocalist and first ever member of the HardLore 5 Deadly Venoms Club. That's what we're calling it.
Damn, that's good.
Dan Seeley. Thanks for being here, Dan.
Thanks for having me, Colin.
A wonderful accomplishment.
And to my right, Lord, where to begin? He's the mayor of Waterbury. He's the governor of Connecticut hardcore. And the vocalist of HardLore's hardest band of all time winner, 100 Demons, and now Blood for Blood. Please welcome Peter A. Morcey.
Hello.
III.
What a pleasure it is, man. It's been a long time coming.
It has.
And I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Great to finally have you here. You know, we've been talking about you on the show for the whole time now.
Yeah.
So this is years in the making.
I know, I would tune in to almost every episode, and if there was usually a 100 Demons reference somewhere in there, or my name would get brought up, and it was always felt special.
It was special, and we meant that shit. So let's go back in time. Let's do this right.
Yeah.
Let's go back to growing up in the great state of Connecticut and finding punk and hardcore music.
Yeah. So you want a little rundown from the history? Well, I was always into music from as far back as I can remember. You know, we weren't a huge musical household. There wasn't a lot of musicians in the family, but we had a lot of records. And then I grew up flipping through my parents' records. I think my earliest memory of music is Neil Diamond and dancing to Cracklin' Rosie. Maybe I was like 3 or 4 years old. My sister still mimicked me doing the dance where I kind of just stood up and like bounced on my knees up and down.
Classic baby style.
That's like my earliest song, I think, that I ever remember in that house. And Jim Croce was another one that was like big in our household. You know, a lot of like acoustic kind of music. And for some reason, I don't even know why, but the Sweet, which is such an oddball thing, there were a couple tracks that were always playing at my house when I was a kid, which was really weird when I think about it as an adult. Like, how did my parents have these records? You know, I think they only had one big hit in America at the time, but getting into music, I always sang. I always had great experiences, like in elementary school, singing in the music class. I had some funny stories from there where I think my music teacher from the school took a shine, like a liking to me. And one of my earliest memories of music class was the whole class had to sing a song, and it was about a donkey or some shit. I don't remember what the song was.
Probably Dominic.
But she would walk around and tap you on the head. And if she tapped you on your head, that means you had to stop singing and you weren't singing properly. And, you know, halfway through the song, everyone's heads were tapped except mine. And I had to finish the rest of the song by myself. And that's when first time I realized, like, I think I sing okay, you know?
Wait, I'm goated?
Yeah. Already.
Hold
This
up.
class is chopped.
Yeah.
Second grade. Thank you, Mrs. Kukas.
Yeah, that's wow.
So you know, from there I was just always into music.
You had the sauce early.
I guess it was. I always enjoyed singing.
Sure.
You know, I think probably around 5th grade, maybe 4th grade is when I started discovering like other types of music. You know, just more like hard rock, heavy metal. Getting into like bands like Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, and from the older kids in my neighborhood, there was like stuff that I heard through them that was interesting. And
so that all came before punk.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I think for most people from that time in America in the 80s, early 80s, like I think everyone I knew started with heavy metal first, you know, and hard rock.
Is this radio? Are you in terrestrial radio yet? Is that
a
happening
little bit,
in Connecticut?
A little bit, but mostly like neighborhood kids that influenced me. You know, there was a lot of like metalheads and pothead dudes, and you know, and they would start talking about music, and it started with the bigger bands first. By 6th grade, I was into like Metallica and Slayer, and these guys. I bought a Witchfinder General record off this guy named Steve Juraska. He was an older metalhead. I was probably in 7th grade when that happened. And if you know anything about Witchfinder General, they were like a new wave of British heavy metal band. And they had these real scandalous record covers with like naked women on them. And the first one I bought from it was Death Penalty. And it was like, these guys were dressed up as with a Witchfinder General. And there was like a naked, she was the witch on the cover, and she's naked, sprawled out with like bloody chest. And I had that record, and I hid it. You know, I didn't want my mother looking through my record collection back then. There were a few records I had that I hid, that and the first Wasp, the Fuck Like a Beast EP. That was another one. That came a little later, but that's what I got into first, you know, all the early Metallica, Slayer, Motorhead, Venom. Then I discovered the record stores in my town. We had 2 of the best record stores in Waterbury. One was Brass City Records, that was owned by this guy named Walt, rest in peace, and Cheapskate Records, which later became Phoenix Records. And that opened up a whole world to us. You know, my neighborhood and I would walk downtown Waterbury every weekend, at least 7, 8 of us, all the guys that were into metal, and we'd walk to these record stores, and we'd come home with like stacks of records. You know, we'd walk like 3 miles, 4 miles one way, go to both shops and walk back home, and we'd come home and have new music weekly, and we would trade off records with each other. And that's when, like, I remember when Ride the Lightning came out. That was like the big one we were all waiting for. And I was probably in 6th or 7th grade when that came out, 7th grade. And I brought Ride the Lightning home on my turntable.
Is that 84 or something?
Yeah. Yes. Come on, it was 82. I think it was 84. My turntable was broken, and I couldn't listen to it. And I had my friend Marty from the neighborhood. He was like, well, since your turntable's broken, can I listen to it? So I gave it to him, and I had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks to even hear this damn record.
You didn't go to his house and just listen with him?
Which was like torturing me, you know. But, you know, I got it back.
It was an intimate experience. You needed to hear it alone.
Yeah.
What's that?
You needed to hear it alone. It's an intimate
that's
experience.
like something you really want to just, you know. And back then is when you had a record and you sat with it and you studied everything on it. You studied every picture, the T-shirts they were wearing, the special thanks list, like everything on it. You just knew it back. Those early records, I could tell you everything that's on them, you know, because they were like encyclopedias to me. That's how you found out about music, you know.
Did you guys have like a ringleader that was like always coming back with like, we got to hear this, or we got to buy this, or we got to?
Maybe at first, but eventually it just turned into everyone kind of discovering their own thing, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we would buy records just from the cover art themselves.
You got to do it, man.
And made a lot of
Meatloaf,
shitty mistakes. You know what I mean?
We got to learn about Meatloaf early.
But
you know?
also picked out these gems that were like, fuck, man. I remember buying the Sam A, the first record, and I was pretty young, and that record cover scared me for some reason. It was like, just, who are these dudes? I didn't know anything about the Misfits.
You heard Sam Hain before the Misfits?
Oh, yeah.
So what's the punk or hardcore record that turns it from commodity to community for you?
Honestly, I think it's like some of the early Connecticut bands that I really started getting into first. There's a band called Lost Generation. They had a record called Return from Incas. They were an early Connecticut punk band. I think their first single they put out in like 81 or 82, and they put out an LP, maybe it was 82, 83, and I bought it at Brass City Records in a used bin, had no idea what it was, and bought it with a stack of metal records, and I think I paid like $2 for it, and I put it on, and it was nothing like I ever heard before.
And you didn't know they were from Connecticut?
No clue. Maybe I figured it out a month or two later when I started realizing there was a whole other world besides these metal bands, and there were flyers for shows and these zines that were free, and I started reading about them. But that was like the first record that hit, you know. I was like, this is different, man. And it's still one of my favorite records to this day. Flash forward almost 40 years later, I'm friends with Joe Diaz that sings for the band. They just recorded their first new record in 35 years. I got to sing on 2 songs.
Fuck yeah.
And what's really cool, he's like, we're talking as I'm recording, he's like, Pete, you know, Lost Gen only had 2 guest vocalists in all our years of recording. One is HR and one is Cheetah Chrome. He's like, you're in good company, my man.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, that's like so cool, you know.
That's how I feel singing on a 100 Demons record. So
well, that was a big deal for us too, man.
Come on.
It was.
We'll get there.
You were all right.
It's coming. So when do you start going to shows? And what's that like in Connecticut in the 80s?
I started going probably like my earliest shows were like metal concerts, you know, 84, 85. Started with the big things first, like saw Dio in concert, saw Iron Maiden in concert. And so I was the youngest kid, the biggest, yet the youngest in the group.
Were you big,
know?
young?
Yeah, I was giant.
Oh,
you know?
there's no way it wasn't.
I was always big. Everyone always thought when I was...
You? Big, young?
Yeah. I mean,
everyone always
that's
thought
why
I was
that's
a
what I do.
25-year-old when I was like 14. You know?
You 100% were buying beer way before anybody could even
definitely,
figure it out.
I was the guy everyone asked to go get them beers, you know. And I was like 16 doing that, which was crazy.
Good for you guys.
But yeah, the earliest concerts were the big concerts, you know, arenas and seeing bands like that. The first smaller shows were still metal shows, but there was a place in Connecticut called the Agora Ballroom in West Hartford, and I saw Anthrax there, and there was a local metal band called Demon X that played that show too. And that's like my first experience with like people moshing in a pit, and it was just crazy metal dudes. And they were doing like some punk rock and hardcore kids there, which I didn't know anything much about yet. So I saw a few shows at the Agora, and I think the summer of that year, the small club in Connecticut was called Sneakers opened up. And this is probably like 1985 right now. And this was a small club environment, 200-300 people. But this is where I saw like Celtic Frost and Voivod and Exodus, King Diamond on his first solo tour. And that was like really intimate, you know.
Oh, the Fatal Portrait tour was intimate?
It was like, you could touch these guys, you know. They weren't on a stage that was a mile away from you. There was only like 300-400 people at most at these shows. And it was wild. And those are like my earliest memories of getting right before discovering true, you know, hardcore shows. As we moved along, it was just meeting different people along the way. Neighborhood guys turned into guys from other neighborhoods, and I eventually hooked up with my buddy Jeff Fortier, who and Dave DePalma. They were the first guys that started bringing me to my earliest hardcore shows, and we would go every weekend. And we started out at the Anthrax. They were a couple years older than me, and they brought me to my first show. I think it was the Meatmen. First show I went to at the Anthrax, and
you know, no big deal.
Yeah.
Meet men at the Anthrax.
Crazy, dude. I went there.
Were you moshing?
Yes. I remember I was moshing, and some like dude came up to me, and he's like, "Hey man, you gotta calm down." And I was like, "What's this guy talking?" I didn't even feel like I was doing anything crazy. He was telling me to calm down. Anyways,
too big.
The day after that show, head fucking shaved.
That's right.
It was it. I found my life. That was like my world. That was my world.
I wonder if anybody has ever actually calmed down when someone has been like, "Bro, you gotta
calm
relax."
down.
I mean,
Calm down,
your
man.
first instinct is to not calm
freak
down.
out. Yes.
What do you mean calm down?
Yeah, so that was it. That was my introduction to it, and I don't think I missed a weekend of going to shows
Do you
for
think,
years since then.
Do you think you still hold a band like the Meatmen in like some special place?
Oh yeah.
Like whether or not like you really, really like them?
Yeah. I mean, I do love them.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Years later, I got to book them at a fest. You know, I used to do the TNT Fest in Connecticut, and we booked them, and it was fucking awesome time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I started meeting all the people that I saw as a kid, and started making friends with.
They become
some of them,
real people,
becoming
not
like
just
your peers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that happened, you know, years and years later. But yeah, it's all those early shows are very special to me.
When we just talked to Ray, he described early Connecticut hardcore as like kind of the like safe like if you're going to shows there, it's going to be safer than going to New York. That changed at some point. But what do you think separated Connecticut from like New York and Boston at the time?
At that time, this is right around the time when Connecticut started. It's a little bit before Connecticut started becoming the midway point between both scenes, and it was right before a huge straight edge scene popped up. So it was still like a different world there. You know, there were pockets of subgenres of subcultures. You know, different people. There were punks and skinheads and straight edge kids and metalheads, and everyone was like kind of going to shows together. And those shows were populated by all the weirdos. You know, it wasn't just like, here's a straight edge matinee with 600 of this kind of homogenized same kind of person in there. So within a year after that, that's when like, I think New York hardcore started becoming really big, and that sound started happening, and the Anthrax just became like kind of another part of the New York scene and even the Boston scene, you know, became the stopping ground there. And during that time, my friends and I were always in between, either at the Anthrax or the Pyramid Club or at CB's, you know.
So they were interconnected in a way where you were going to all of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Who were the people and bands that define like early Connecticut hardcore for you? Let's say the Larry Dwyers of the 80s, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they were like the older guys, you know, and as years went by, I made friends with these guys, but all the earliest bands from when I first started going there were you know, Lost Generation, 76% Uncertain, Vatican Commandos, Seizure. It was another, you know, bigger local band. Youth of Today as well, you know. As we progressed, you know, my friends and I started starting our own bands, but they were like the early guys that were there almost from the beginning, you know.
So what's your first band?
My first band was Forced Reality, which was, we were the first skinhead band from Connecticut. You know, I evolved into a skinhead within like a year, you know. Figured I didn't know what they were.
Sure.
I know what anything that was about, but I think this is when I saw the look of it, and I felt a calling, you know. My earliest memory of being a skinhead was actually going to an Iron Maiden concert, and as we're waiting in line to get in, there's this huge brick building and spray painted on the wall. And I've said this before, I think I was in an interview or a quote from a book that I did an interview with. Spray painted on the wall, and this huge sentence, it just said, "I will be a skinhead until the end of time." And then as I went to my first shows, I just started seeing the people, you know, with that look. Didn't know much about it, didn't know what Oi was or anything, and it slowly started finding out through other people, through zines. You know, obviously everyone says the same thing. There was no internet to turn to at that time. There was only like people you could talk to, or people you can write letters to, or the records you could find. And I started finding a lot of, you know, punk and Oi records and moving into that direction with the music. And within like a year at that time, I was like, I'm gonna start a band. In my head earlier, before Forced Reality, I was like, I'm gonna start a band, you know, and I named it in my head. I drew a logo. It sounded like this generic straight edge name. It was called like United Effort, and I didn't know how to play an instrument. I drew a cool logo. I even wrote it on the awning at CBGB's in like 1986. Yeah, it was on there. I wrote it in magic marker, and years later it was still there. I'd always check to see if it was there, and it was. And it was real. It was never a band, but in my head I was like, this is gonna be my first band, you know. I decided I wanted to start a band with these other guys I met, you know, that I went to shows with, and they were Waterbury guys. And one was Phil Gugliotti, who's the original guitar player from Forced Reality. And we talked about it, and we're like, let's start a band. So my first memory of us jamming is sitting on his mother's front step, him with a guitar, me with like a Radio Shack microphone yelling into a radio, and we wrote 2 songs. The first song was called Forced Reality, and the second song was called Police, a very anti-cop song, 14, 15-year-old kids. Within 6 months, we wrote 6 songs, and we went to record a demo.
Waterbury Warriors.
Waterbury Warriors, man. And it was
classic stuff.
There was this little studio outside of Waterbury in Prospect, Connecticut, called Renz Studio. And this guy's name was David Renz, R-E-N-Z-Z, chain smoker. I think everything was recorded on like half-inch reel. But a lot of the local bands went there, metal bands, hardcore bands. I remember seeing demos from. There was a local band in Waterbury called Rheumatic Zombies, and I think they did their demo there, and a couple other ones I don't recall, but we went in there and we recorded our demo, and it was me and Phil. Our buddy Bob played second guitar. Vinny Salamita played bass. These were all guys from a neighborhood in Town Plot, which was, I was from Bunker Hill. Town Plot was like the Italian neighborhood of Waterbury, and they were from there.
Those names sound like they're from there.
And our drummer was Graham Christie, who was just guy that was in my high school class that knew how to play drums, and he wasn't really into like the punk or hardcore scene. Great guy, I still talk to him, but he recorded the demo with us, and we went in there and probably recorded the thing in like 3 hours, 6 songs, no clue how to play. We played instruments very caveman-esque,
But your first
it fits
band,
the genre though.
Yeah. Your first band in 1986 would go on to influence bands like Dropkick Murphys and the Bruisers.
Yeah, it became like an influential band. We were one of the. That's me. That picture I think is probably from '88.
It was a little later.
A couple years later.
Yeah, Pete's like 12 years old in that picture.
Yeah, the band, as we started figuring, after the demo's rough and raw and just kind of weird, oi core, we didn't really know how to play our instruments yet or sing, but it was still kind of cool, Then I remember as we progressed, we started writing songs a little bit better and more rock and roll sounding, and we did like a 2-song demo, which never got released. Then we did a 4-song demo, which never got released, but the tapes got out there, and they started people started hearing them, and by like 1988, everyone tape traded back then. There was a whole network of underground music, punks and skins, and I would trade these Forced Reality demos with other guys and other bands from other states, and one of the tapes was the last 4-song demo we did, got into the hands of this Sean Gerard from this band Moral Discipline from Washington, D.C. And he was telling me about, how Choke from Slapshot had a band called Stars and Stripes, and they were going to release the Moral Discipline record, 7-inch or maybe a full length that was going to come out. And as a favor, he sent the Forced Reality demo to Choke. That was never released, and within a couple weeks, Choke tracked me down somehow and talked to us, and he wanted to sign the band. The songs on there were a world apart from our demo tape. They were like, even when I hear them now, it's like, I can't believe we wrote these songs.
On the LP?
They're pretty cool. Yeah. There were 4 different. These 4 songs we did ended up getting re-recorded for the LP.
Okay.
They were the original versions, but they were done really well. And,
You're singing melodically in your first band.
Yeah.
A skinhead band from Connecticut. And you talked about singing in elementary school and, being the best in the class, obviously. There's always been this lore about you being like a classically trained opera singer.
Oh, that came much later.
That's what I always heard. That was the first thing I ever heard.
Right?
You check this shit out.
Like, yo, you heard repeat process? You know why? is to what extent is that true?
It's true. So if you want to jump ahead just a little bit.
Just operatically.
That came later, like in the early 90s.
Unbelievable.
And we can talk about that.
We'll get there.
That's another whole section of my life that was.
Let's talk about this guy real quick.
John Willink.
Tell me a little more about this fellow, a young Jocko.
It's crazy how what his life steamrolled into later on, but there was a whole crew of skinheads in Connecticut at the time, you know, and every few months it seemed like new people would pop up. And Jocko and his, you know, Nathan, Elgin James, and John all grew up in the same area, Connecticut, kind of where I live now, out in the northwest corner, middle of nowhere. And we befriended those guys, and they started hanging with us, and they started coming to all the Forced Reality shows. And if we played out of state, they'd come with us, and they were just like, it was just our crew of friends, you know. At one point in Connecticut, it was a massive amount of skinheads, you know. There was probably 200 of us in the 80s. Every town had a whole, like, division, you know. And a lot of wild times, a lot of fun times, too, you know. We caused our fair share of chaos, but we were always there every weekend going to shows and enjoying ourselves. And we were some of the earliest skinhead bands in America, you know. Forced Reality. You know, there's another one called Power Surge, where they were more oi-core. And it's sadly, they're almost a forgotten band. They recorded a 7 record at the Anthrax. The Anthrax was supposed to release their 7-inch, but they just never got it. And I've had the reels forever, so someday we're going to get that thing out there. And it's really good. But going back to John and Jocko and Nathan, they were just part of our friend group, you know, and they traveled with us everywhere. And, you know, we had a lot of fun, you know. We did a lot of cool stuff together. They eventually all moved to New Haven. They befriended Bruce Monster from up in, I think they brought him back from like New Hampshire or Vermont. I forget where he was living. And they all got a house in New Haven, and that was like our hangout, our clubhouse, you know. And we were based there every weekend, going to parties and going to shows. And if Forced Reality was playing, we were all traveling together and doing our thing, you know, all the way until probably the end of 89, 90. And that's when Nathan decided he was going to move to Boston. And that's when Jocko decided he was going to the Navy.
I heard a story about Jocko when he was going to the Navy. I don't know if this is true or not.
Yeah.
I heard it from a semi-reliable source. But I heard the day he was leaving, I guess everybody was at a show or something. Maybe it was the day before he was leaving or whatever it was. Everybody was at a show, and somebody, I'm not going to say who, you know, they said their goodbyes, and somebody went, that fucking guy's going to wash out. He ain't going to fucking make it. And then he's the most legendary Navy SEAL of all time.
He's like,
Yeah, I've never
Navy
heard
SEAL.
that, but I couldn't even imagine anyone saying that, you know.
Oh, really?
He was like an enigma even back then, you know. He was, not that he was just out there being a powerhouse badass or anything. He just had this discipline and this look that was just different from anybody else.
Is the Forced Reality self-titled cover like a caricature of him?
Yes. So the picture you just showed me is Jocko, and that's John Bozak on the left. John was like the artist in our group, you know. And I remember we were playing our first show in Boston, and we were Forced Reality and Anti-Heroes. First time they ever came up here, they drove straight up from Atlanta and played at this club called Ground Zero, which is right next to the Middle East, long gone club. And John said, I designed a shirt and I made some. You know, he made them homemade, hand screen printed shirts. And I think I didn't see the shirts at all until they brought them to the show. And it was fucking awesome. The most bold graphic design, you know. He's like, I just used Jocko to model for it. He just stood there and I just pretty much drew him, you know. Meanwhile, over the years, everyone always just assumed it was me in the picture. Like, is that you? Is that you? I was like, no, that's my buddy John. But they brought the shirts to the show. I think we had like 30 or 40 of the original shirt. I think 25 out of the original all bled and ran when people ran through the wash machine, you know, it's total mess. But there's still a few surviving ones that I know that people have, you know, that I've seen over the years.
So that was a T-shirt before it was any album artwork or anything.
Yeah. Yep. Which eventually, you know, a year later when we recorded the record for Patriot, that was what we used.
Forced Reality self-titled. I've seen many call it the definitive American Oi record. Pretty cool.
It is cool.
How extensively did Forced Reality tour on this record?
Hardly any. I mean, we played out of state. Back then, too, you know, especially in the height of the 80s with like the big skinhead scare, all the TV shows like Geraldo Rivera and Sally Jesse Raphael and Phil Donahue were portraying, you know, a lot of that scene in a very negative light. And rightfully so. There was like a big divide in it towards the late 80s with, you know, like Nazi skinheads and white power skinheads and like just regular skin dudes that were just hanging out and playing oi music and wanted to go to
Genuine
shows.
concern. You know?
Yeah, and it was a very violent time. A lot of people got mistaken for other groups. It was hard to be a skinhead, you know, walking around, and we were no strangers to fighting. You know, everyone kind of got into it in a lot of places they went to. It was, you know, it wasn't super insane, but there was, you know, there was a lot of sketchy paths you walked down.
Sure.
And back then, you know, there was just, no one wanted to book bands like that. So the shows were few and far between. Every state had like a couple bands, and you were lucky to play maybe 4 or 5 times a year, you know. Sometime there were fests, you know, smaller ones in New Jersey or New York and Connecticut, Pennsylvania. And we traveled. I think the furthest we've ever played back then was Washington, D.C., you know, played at like the 930 Club.
So you guys are just kind of like a local legend.
Yeah.
Thing.
I mean, people knew us.
Yeah,
you know,
Stigma's
skinhead scene
covering
knew
Forced
us.
Reality.
Yeah,
you know?
that which is mind-blowing too. You did 2 cover songs on the first record. That came later, you know, in the late 90s we got back together again, and that's when like people started realizing we were a band in the 80s, you know.
Are there like skinhead dudes you meet today who are like just getting into 100 Demons and are like, that's the fucking Forced Reality guy though?
My paths crisscross with so many weird things, you know. People know me from 100 Demons. They know me from Forced Reality. They know me from Higher Force.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the dude that owns the tattoo shop. I'm the dude that owned the screen printing place. I'm the dude that did a podcast, you know. Not a lot of people know all of it, you know. So I'd always get
except
like,
for all you now.
Except for all you viewers at home.
over the years, you know, like Demons would be playing and people would be like, wait, you sing for Forced Reality? You know? I was like, yeah. You know, news didn't travel as fast even 20, 25 years ago. It was just, you find things out, but now it's like lightning. Everyone knows everything in seconds. It was funny being on tour with Demons later on, like in the early 2000s in Europe, and we'd pull up to like a city and there'd always be like a
skinhead guy?
Contingent of skinheads that would show up that knew the dude from Forced Reality sings for 100 Demons, you know, and they would show up either A, pick me up and hang out and have a great time, or B,
excuse me, sir?
They would just start fights at the show. Just, you know, do the things that they're expected to do.
Sure. So. Stand up front and scream Forced Reality for 3 songs while you're playing.
Yeah. It's funny, I went to, you know, we did the Cox Bar show in Boston last month, and I brought my friend Ray with me. And as I'm walking through the crowd, you know, people are coming up to me, and like some people are talking to me about Blood for Blood or 100 Demons or Forced Reality. And I was like, everyone knows me from every band, you know? And I was like, all we need to do is hear something about Higher Force. And as we're leaving the club, some random guy just walks up to me and he's like, hey man, I know it's probably not possible. What are the chances of a Higher Force record coming out? And I was like, that's
I hit
them all tonight.
Bingo.
The Mick Foley of hard.
And I'm not complaining. I'm happy every one of those bands has like a following.
Well, hey,
know?
let's get
How
there.
lucky.
I mean, I don't know if, and I'm being honest, I don't know if there's another person that's had 4 successful bands.
It's like
crazy.
you and Scott Vogel,
5,
maybe?
including Murmur.
Yeah. Oh my God. We're getting there, baby.
So many worlds.
Yeah.
So many worlds, man.
Where do you and when do you meet one Shawn Michael
Oh,
Martin?
Shawn. So we knew of each other probably going back into the late 80s, because Phil, that played in Forced Reality, Shawn and Phil were friends before Shawn and I were friends, you know.
This isn't Filthy, is it?
Yes, that's Filthy.
Oh my God.
He's the original Forced Reality guitar player.
There's a few things that I've heard Shawn say more than any other sentence, and it's me and Pete, this one time me and Beatty, and my boy Filthy.
Yep.
Oh, and Larry Dwyer.
Yep.
Those 4 things I've heard him say more than
And
anything.
between those people, you know, there's a billion stories, you know. Yeah, but Shawn and Phil were friends back starting, I think, in the late 80s. Shawn didn't go to a lot of shows in the late 80s. His mother was like, wouldn't let him, you know, she was just like, you are not doing this, you know. So we met in the early 90s, right after the 80s. I think in the early 90s, Shawn moved out to California for a while.
He did.
And I knew of his existence because he still was friends with a lot of mutual friends. But when he came back, that's when we started really getting to know each other, like 91, say then.
Good year.
And within a year, he was playing in Higher Force with us. You know, Higher Force started in like 92, which was just another whole
We're there.
different world.
Listen,
man.
you might not be the original singer of 100 Demons, but there is no 100 Demons without Higher Force.
No, definitely not.
How does this come together?
100 Demon or Higher Force came about. So this was at the end of the Anthrax. There weren't a lot of shows going on. There was like a kind of lull in the hardcore. The Anthrax closed. In the same town, Norwalk, there were still a couple of clubs. First, there was like I think it was the Zebra Club, which was like a strip bar, and there was the Fortune Cookie, which was a Chinese restaurant that still hosted shows. Yeah. And then there was a place called the Nightbreed, which eventually turned into the Apocalypse. And that place was run by Bill Bateman, an old Connecticut had a band called Resin. They were like kind of like a parody hardcore weed smoking band, you know, but he brought all the shows in the early 90s to these clubs. That's when everyone from the skinhead scene started fading away, and the hardcore and straight edge scene starting to fade away, and all the remnants of those scenes became friends with each other. The same kind of two groups of people that would like punch and kick each other at shows
Turned out to be
weeded
the
out everybody else and became like the tightest, you know, as we became like the best of friends. And hardcore it was never fully left, but it was a different sound was emerging, you know.
More metallic.
We were definitely like the first heavy hardcore band in Connecticut, and there weren't too many outside of us in the rest of the country either. You know,
what's the reaction like in Connecticut to Higher Force at the time?
Pretty good. You know,
because it's like finally
it was like a group of friends who had a built-in group of friends that knew we were doing this. All guys that were like around and playing in bands that started doing something together, and we started writing songs. It was me, my stepbrother Dave Duncan, Dave Kimball. Sean wasn't in the band yet. Bubba was on bass. Jeremy, he was the youngest. Now he was the young boy. Wow. He was like 14 or 15. He was in a band called Test of Time, a straight edge band that played the Anthrax. And when he was, you know, towards the end, 1990 at the Anthrax, and he was like 14 back then too. And Riche.
Shout out
the
Riche.
drummer.
Yeah, shout out Riche.
Now, funny story, Riche, the second forced reality show ever was at a church in Watertown, Connecticut, town over. It was forced reality. We met these girls sled riding, and they're like, hey, we do a show. We told them we were in a band, you know, and they're like, we do a show every year at our church. And we have heavy metal bands playing. I was like, oh, I'm in a metal band, you know, just to get a show. And so forced reality got on this show. It was in March of like 1987 or 88, I can't remember. And opening that show was a metal cover band that did like covers of Slayer and Testament and this and that. And
did they change the lyrics to Jesus stuff?
No. Well, this is the good story.
Legitimate.
So we don't know who these guys are.
Okay.
I get to the show, we're all hanging out. It's like all our miscreant friends and all the local like metalheads. And my dad comes to the show. You know, my parents never came to shows. My dad came to the show
just
because it was
this
local.
one.
And he's like, Peter, come here. I want to introduce you to someone. And it's the older guy. He's like, this is my friend, Richard Rosa. And this is his son, Rich. And he plays drums in the first band that's playing tonight. And they were called Conspiracy. And they were the metal cover band. That's the first time I met Riche, you know.
Dude, these sledding Christian chicks.
Yep.
They started 100 Demons.
Yeah. So, you know, we didn't start hanging out just yet for a couple years, but that's the first time we met each other. Time passed. But anyways, they played the show that night. Of course, my friends are fucking terrible. Phil and all the guys from like Tom Plot, as they're playing, they go in the church and they're throwing stink bombs. And like, next thing you know, like the whole place is cleared out. Yeah. And like they're all outside.
Okay.
And
did Riche have the goatee then?
No.
Did he have
it seems like it could be permanent, but no.
Did he have a Conspiracy bong or a jet ski?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
He was probably smoking weed back then, but I don't think as heavily as, you know, the last 30 years.
He has to be one of the earliest weed adopters in the hardcore scene. Just saying.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yes, excuse me.
So the Higher Force 7-inch,
Yeah.
We got to reissue this thing.
Never came out.
It's unbelievable.
It was never a 7-inch.
What's the tape? The tape is just the promo,
Want me to give you a
right?
rundown of the history of musicality of Higher Force?
You did the same songs a few times, right?
Nah, a couple of them.
Yeah.
So I started a record label called Round 2 Records in the early 90s. It was myself and my best friend, Mark Martin. You know, he passed away years ago. One of our best friends, you know, greatest guy ever. And we only put out a few things. The first thing we did put out was a compilation 7-inch called Round 2 in an Endless Fight. And we recorded, it was Higher Force, Evolve, which was Mike Dodona and Sean Martin's first band, Another Wall, Livestock, and the Groundwork from Connecticut, not Arizona. And it was Dismay was supposed to be on it, but they couldn't do it. For some reason, they couldn't get us a song in time. But we did a 5-song 7-inch. It was the first Higher Force song we recorded called Born Free. We recorded it in some weird studio up near Hartford. One of the most disgusting sounds ever. It sounded like the guitar riffs in the song are just like this weird digital kind of like, I don't know, can't even explain it, but it's really bad. The whole 7-inch sounds bad. I remember reading a review and they're like, this 7-inch is good, sounds like shit though. Evolve sounds like it was recorded in a cardboard box, you know? Some of these things were taken off like 4-track demo recorders and put out the vinyl.
So but the Higher Force demo sounds incredible.
So after the 7-inch, we went and recorded 4 songs at River Street Studio, which was a nice studio in New Haven. And that's those 4 songs that came out on the cassette years later was originally going to be a 7-inch.
Okay.
You know, so we did those 4 songs and they were really good.
Let's get it going.
You know, we should.
Put it out.
A couple people have been wanting to put it out for years, especially everything, because I think we have like 13, 14 songs put together that just needs to come out.
And let me tell you,
length.
this demo sounds like everything I like at the same time. And it makes you understand why Sean is in Twitching Tongues, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Like, we sound more similar than most other bands, you know? And it, to me, like, hearing that later in life is like, I could not escape Connecticut if I tried. You know? Like, sonically, this was my destiny the whole time. Tell me about, did Higher Force, was the Bristol Bike Exchange a thing when Higher Force was a band?
It was. Yep. But the first round of Higher Force, Bike Exchange wasn't doing shows yet. Because I think we stopped playing in like 96 for a while.
But before, so 92 to 96.
Yeah, we were mostly playing like places in Norwalk, like the Apocalypse or the Nightbreed. We were playing in New Haven, at some random clubs.
And how seriously are you taking Higher Force?
Kind of serious.
Yeah.
Because it started going really well, and we started getting a good following. It wasn't a touring band either, but we did play a bunch of out-of-state shows. And this is how I'll segue into a little bit of the classical music thing.
Yeah.
I was obviously like, we would do multiple shows on a weekend and I'd blow my voice out and I had no clue like how to sing properly. And I discovered through connections a singer, a voice teacher who lives up in Granby, Connecticut, like where Sean lives, up in that area. Her name was Jana Pivacek. I went to go get a lesson from her. I explained to her like my problems. You know, I'm afraid I'm playing this kind of music, and she was like a classically trained singer, and that's what she taught. And she heard it, and she was like, "Jesus fucking Christ! Like, what is this? That's you? You know?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah," and I'm losing my voice. She's like, "Oh no shit, you're losing your voice. You're not. This is not humanly possible. Not sustainable to sing like this. This is before anyone really cracked the code on how to properly scream and."
But I feel like, dude, in Forced Reality, you're like belting start to finish.
Yep.
In Higher Force, it sounds like you figured it out. And and you're blowing your shit up.
Yeah, and it was good, but I always had a very sensitive voice, you know. It was easy for me to blow it out, you know. I would push it and push it and push it. Thank God I never had any issues or like really bad strains or polyps or anything. But anyways, I went to the teacher. The first day there, she's playing some, she's like, "Oh, follow me on the piano, playing some scales, you know, E, E back and forth.
Classic.
And within like 10 minutes, she's like, do you know you have a full range? And I was like, what the fuck's that mean? And she's like, oh, you can hit like bass notes and tenor notes.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, cool. And so I was like, can you just teach me how to sing so I don't lose my voice? She's like, I can't do that. But I think you really need to sing this, you know? And she convinced me to do classical music, you know? And she didn't convince me to quit Higher Force or anything like that, but it just opened up this other world. And within like 3 months, I was like learning like German lieder and French art songs and Italian arias. And it was like almost like a project for her, I think, to see if she could take this bald maniac.
Psycho.
Yeah.
And you know,
were her greatest creation.
This is like in my late teens, early 20s.
What was her last name? Frankenstein?
Pivacek. She passed away a few years ago.
R.I.P.
And she was literally one of the most wonderful people in the world.
I mean, she changed your life.
She did a
musically.
lot for me, and she put herself out there for me, and she got me accepted into like one of the really toughest vocal programs to get into at a college, and I got accepted. They only took a few people a year, and I quit after like fucking 6 months. You know,
Well, you got in.
I got in.
Yeah.
That's what matters. That's
right.
what you got to
But
tell
dude,
everybody.
it was in Miami, on Miami Beach.
Sounds
And
terrible.
it was like Sodom and Gomorrah down there. And it was so hard to like
Sing.
do the work.
How old were you when you went down there?
This is in like the mid 90s, actually a little later, like 97, I think. So I was like 25.
That's no
That ain't
good.
gonna work.
Yeah, so I
Nobody
moved
needs to
down
be-
there to study music, and it was just like, and as I'm doing, I'm questioning myself the whole time. It's like, is this me? Is this what I really want to do? Like, I enjoyed it when I was doing with her, and I was like, I did some of my own like
That was for you.
recitals.
you
It
know?
was.
Yeah.
It made my mom really happy.
No, I'm sure.
It made her really happy.
Your beloved
I
mom.
did like a recital at a church in Waterbury after a year of like singing with my teacher, and packed. And we sold like 250 tickets. You know, all our friends and family came out. Sean was there. You know, and I did like 15 like songs.
Sure.
You know, and the last one was a song called Barbara, which was like a Broadway song. And I sang it to my mom, and she like broke down crying. She begs me to this day to sing it for her, and I don't remember it, and I can't find it anywhere, like online. But it was a fun time, and it was a fun path. But once I got into school and started studying that, it felt like
There was a higher force calling, if you will. You know?
And that's exactly what happened. I fucking packed up my car, packed up my apartment, quit school, didn't even properly withdraw. They were calling me for like weeks. Where are you? After I got accepted into this sick vocal program, I was too much of a pussy to like tell them I don't want to do it anymore. And within like 3 weeks, Higher Force was playing again. At Bristol Bike
And you
Exchange.
probably sounded so good.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah. And then
For a while.
everybody just spread that rumor for the next 20 years.
Yeah, they really did. It got to me. It got
I guess
to
it
me.
wasn't a rumor, yeah.
No, it was real.
And during that second incarnation of it, you know, we wrote some more songs, we recorded some more songs.
You sure did.
It went to like around 1999, and around that time I was getting a little burnt on it again, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to play.
You gotta
Right
move
now
back
with-
to Miami
with-
Beach.
And that's where 100 Demons happened. You know, I quit, not on any bad terms at all. Always stayed friends with everybody. Like, it wasn't like anything negative. But I left, and it was Sean, Bubba, and Reesh from Higher Force. And I left, and that's when Bruce LePage came.
Right.
You know? And a lot of those early 100 Demon songs were actually Higher Force songs that Bruce, you know, redid with his own touch and own lyrics. But like Forsaken and Hard Luck, those were
Musically,
were Higher Force songs.
So 100 Demons starts, and you're not like, what the fuck, guys? It's like, you understand.
Not at all.
You exited it.
I exited.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no problems. And for years, Bruce always thought I was like mad. I was like, dude, like I knew Bruce since the 80s,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is crazy.
But there was never any hard feelings. And never once any issues at all. And there never would have been, because it was, those are my dudes. I still hung out with them. I was doing backup vocals on the first record. You know?
Wow.
I was helping coordinate all the backing vocals on the first record. I
That's
was like, it's got to be like this.
That's HardLore right there.
You know? So there was never any problems, you know?
I mean, it probably just works to the benefit of 100 Demons to have two great minds just being like, let's work together and make the best
I was there
Connecticut
from
band of
the
all
whole
time.
beginning of that band, you know? But as they started progressing, of course, I got the itch to play again. And next thing you know, it's like I got a call from Tang Records in California, and it was Curtis, and he was like, "Hey, this is Pete. You're in Forced Reality," and he's like, "I've been talking to Choke, and I've been talking to him about reissuing all the records he put out, and I wanted to talk to you, make sure to get the permission first. We want to reissue the Forced Reality record on Tang Records, since it was such a small pressing. I think there was only 1,000 LPs made of the first round. So as soon as that happened, I was like, maybe Forced Reality needs to play again. So that was like, boom, the next incarnation of Forced Reality. And that started for another couple of years. I bounced back and forth between Forced Reality and Higher Force and 100 Demons, like so many different times.
And I wonder, and like 1997, the advanced release demo tape like officially comes out.
Yep.
Same year as Satisfaction.
Yep.
Connecticut's on fire.
Yeah.
And then they take Sean.
Yep. Yeah, Sean was in 100 Demons when they took him. And
They stole him.
Yeah.
And then
I was out at 100 Demons when that happened too, so there was no weirdness for me. But there might have been a little bit of weirdness, but not really. Everyone still stayed friends. No one was ever mad at Sean for anything. It's like we're all best friends.
Yeah.
We still are to this day.
That's right.
There's been a lot of members of 100 Demons. And believe it or not, there's been a few different vocalists too. Some guys like Moose sang 100 Demons for a while. Then they had this guy Matt that sang a few shows. And that's when I finally came in and just leveled out the band.
Between all of these things, are you ever like, I have to find a career, or I have to, you know what I mean? Like, are you worried about like what's going on in like your personal like?
Kind of, but never really.
The bands are taking up time. That's like, am I doing this? Am I not?
Yeah. And everybody else seems to be kind of doing their own thing, and you're bouncing.
So
back
during all this time, I always worked too. I obviously never played enough to make money, especially even if I did play constantly back then. What was I going to bring home?
$50.
I grew up in a family that owned a restaurant. It was called Morcey's Restaurant, barbecue restaurant, and I worked there from when I was like 12 years old. Well, I was almost like 30, on and off. You know,
I've heard in the past that there is a world famous dish from Morrissey's Restaurant. I believe it's a tuna pita.
Well, the tuna pita.
Yeah, the tuna pita.
This has become a joke.
Okay.
This has become a serious joke over the years, and it's a story I told. I think I told Jimmy first, where we had it was a big charcoal grill restaurant. We had rotisserie chickens and ribs, barbecue stuff, and we made all different types of sandwiches. And we had like tuna fish. You can get a tuna on rye, you can get a tuna melt, you can get a tuna on any kind of bread. We also had nice pita bread, the same pita bread they would put on gyros.
Sure.
So a popular sandwich at the restaurant was a tuna fish on pita bread. And one day I rarely worked the counter. I was always cooking, but I was at the counter. People would walk up, you place your order, we had little pads, you write everything down. He's like, I think I want a tuna pita. And I was like, a tuna pita? He's like, yeah, that sounds good. And I'm like, all right, yeah, we can do that, write it down. He's like, question for you. What exactly is a tuna pita? And I was like, well, I go, wait, you're ordering the sandwich, but you don't know what it is? And he's like, well, I see everybody ordering it. It looks so good. I was like, basically, it's just our tuna fish on a nice pita bread. He's like, oh, yeah, it's perfect, So that's where it came from. It's got so exaggerated over the years, with so many different voices, and it's become just like this running joke. But that was, my family's restaurant was awesome. All my misfit weirdo friends there, we hired them. My dad hired them all there. So Sean worked there.
That was the spot. That was the transition spot for everybody. You're going to go on the road for a week, and then we're going to come back and go back to the restaurant.
Some people lasted, some people didn't. But John, who put out the Higher Force demo, he had a record company called C's Records. Chano, we call him. He passed away, a couple of years ago. A great friend of ours, but he worked at Morrissey's forever. He was like the main dude there.
Pardon this interruption. I hate to stop you even a second from this incredible episode with Pete and Dan, but I got 3 very important things to tell you about that made this episode possible. The first being Mills Vintage, the greatest archive and store for used vintage hardcore punk and metal memorabilia on the whole of the internet. That's right. millsvintageusa.com. Go check it out. Search for any single band we've talked about in this episode or even last week's episode. or the week before that. You're going to find something. You're going to go, I've never seen this before. How can I get it? And he's going to get it back at some point, and you're going to want to be first. I may beat you, but I'm not always looking. I lose stuff on there all the time. I give him stuff all the time. You got to be checking. If you're in LA, if you're in New York, even just send him a message. You can trade stuff. You can sell stuff. But most importantly, site-wide, code HardLore, 10% off. And you know this stuff adds up. So you're going to need that code. Trust me. He also messages back like really fast. So if you have a question, he's got measurements. He's got answers. This episode is also brought to you by Guilty Party, my favorite menswear store in the world, realistically. I was going to say North America, but in terms of favoritism, they get the world. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, there is an article of clothing from Champ and Guilty Party on my body at all times. You stop me in the street, you go, where are these boots? I got them from Guilty Party. What are these pants? They're Studio D1002, and I got them from Guilty Party. What is this jacket? It could be a number of things, but I got it from Guilty Party. Flathead, Ironheart, Full Count, Samurai, you name it. The things that people go crazy for. He's got them. And if you're anywhere near Atlanta, go grab something in person, get it hemmed. They're incredible at that too. But if you use code HardLore, you're going to get 10% off and free shipping on all orders over $300. And the only thing you'll be guilty of is getting an incredible deal from my favorite store. This episode is lastly brought to you by Louder Than Life Fest. It's coming up. I'm turning 35 at this fest. I'll be there, and I want a cake. I want the candles. I want it all. But this lineup, you hear me say like big rock festival lineup, and you're probably like, I ain't going to that. But it's Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Alice Cooper, Pantera, Danzig, Machine Head, Gwar, Jimmy Eat World, Alkaline Trio, and that's just one day. My Chemical Romance, Coheed, The Used, Twitching Tongues, Haywire, Angel Dust, Koyo, Missing Link, Gates to Hell. That's one stage, one day on Friday. So you know I'll be there. Tool is playing. Danny Elfman is playing right before him. It's in a whole iPod in a fest, and I'll be there. So I'll see you there, and I hope to see you there. Get your tickets now at louderthanlifefestival.com. Back to the episode. So why did the Higher Force, before we get to 100 Demons full speed, Higher Force had an LP recorded?
Well, it was basically all the songs we ever recorded.
Right.
From different eras, from the beginning in 92 to, we went to the studio once, me, Bubba, Rich, and Sean, to record some songs. In the first round of it, they started smoking so much weed, and I just started drinking. We didn't record any fucking Higher Force songs, and we improv the whole fucking record. We did 8 songs of fucking lunacy, and it
just jam
might be
band
some of
style.
the best stuff we've ever did in our lives.
It's the best Connecticut
It's
hardcore
unreleased.
record never heard.
We somehow it got titled Fancy Force. Everyone was wasted. Like, and I was never a giant partier, but I remember vividly just drinking like a bottle of whiskey in the middle of like a Saturday afternoon in the studio, and these guys are just, and we're trying to record Higher Force songs, and Sean just started strumming on a guitar, and I just started singing, and the next thing you know, it became like an 8-song like underground hit.
Yeah.
You know,
It's awesome.
And one of the songs was called Jeremy, where I sing to Bubba. His real name is Jeremy. And it goes something like, Jeremy, I just want to make sweet love to you. And I was looking deep into his eyes, and it's like a 3-minute long, beautiful ballad, and it's perfect. And we'll never be able to replicate that again, but it's caught on tape, and we have it, and it's really good. And we did all these other songs, and someday it's going to happen. Okay. Greg at Silver Bullet has the DAT. And one day it's going to get out there.
You hear that?
It's incredible.
There are very few records or bands that are left to like secret now, you know, when you hear, like when we were younger, people would say, you know, Eddie Leeway sang on the Marauder demo, and you'd have to find these things. But now with the internet, there's just nothing is left like that, and this is like one of the few things that is like left.
So like over the years, we did get all these. The next time we went back, we did make an accomplishment and recorded the next batch of songs. But we have, you know, I think there's 13 songs. And a lot of them have never seen the light of day outside of getting snuck online somewhere.
And possibly on the Plex I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know. I'm just gonna.
Maybe. So your first order of business in 100 Demons, or I don't know if it's your first order of business, but a big order of business, self-titled,
Yeah.
is right around the corner.
Yeah.
A decade-defining classic. A light in the dark for what was to come in hardcore the next few years. Tell us about writing for 100 Demons for the first time and putting this record together.
Yeah, it was, I was so familiar with these guys, obviously, from playing together for years. It came pretty easy. The first round, just learning all the original songs, and shaking the rust off with them and singing. Actually, it was a little bit of different singing too. It was even more harsh than Higher Force. There was no melody whatsoever, singing harder. But we started playing these shows and I started.
And did you
used
like
to
In the Eyes of the Lord when it came out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How could you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
I knew all the songs. I knew half of them from
Just liking it?
being familiar because they were Higher Force.
Oh, yeah,
true.
I think at least 3, maybe 4 were. Once I joined and we started talking about a record, we started writing. For some reason, I can't really remember writing a lot of it. It wasn't like a blur or anything, but I think it just happened really fast. We did a lot of work in the studio too. I remember specifically though doing repeat process because it was very conflicting for me. I was like, is this selling out? I'm singing like melodic, and a lot of like the metalcore bands at the time were doing that sing scream kind of thing, and I was like, people might fucking hate this or make fun of us, but I was like, it just feels so natural and normal to do this,
How did the band feel about it?
They loved it.
Yeah, it's fucking
They were
awesome.
all like, this is it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. And it still wasn't a super clean voice, it was still like rough and kind of raspy. And I had friends who were like, you sound like Paul Di'Anno from Iron Maiden. I was like, I don't hear it, but I would still get that a lot, I remember recording, especially that song with Zeus, and he had a great time doing it. We did some cool stuff. I remember like we did multi-tracks on it where I would do like an octave lower and almost like a speaking voice and a lower singing voice. But when the singing came out for it, everyone was just like, dude, this rules.
It's undeniable.
It rules. And then there were other singing parts, like Dying in My Own Arms, like a melodic. As my vocal cords thickened up too, it's got so hard to sing like some of those songs. And I could still do repeat process pretty good, but some of those screams in there, I'm like, how the fuck? How did I do that?
That's crazy. And are you part of the music writing process as well? Like, are you like, oh, that would be
more like arranging, not like I don't write riffs.
Right.
I could sometimes I would mouth riffs, or move stuff around like that. Definitely always part of like arrangements. Though.
That's important.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
One of the greatest hardcore lyrics ever written. I don't need the drugs because the rage gets me high.
Yeah.
I didn't say I won't do them though. That would be a lie. How did you not win a Pulitzer for that?
I don't know.
It's crazy, right?
Like Bruce and I were so different, and he leaned heavy on a lot of like his experiences in life, and I never had any battles with like addiction but I had a lot of battles with fucking rage and anger, and it was like an issue for me growing up. I didn't have any outlet for it. I was a very angry person. I still am, but not nearly as I used to be. And my drug was anger, I would sometimes almost like blackout rage anger, like be done. I'm standing there in my underwear with like bloody knuckles, like and trash the whole fucking room, and I don't know why. Something this small would just set me off.
That's like when you hear old Connecticut stories and you'd hear old Pete stories, that's the basis of them. Would be like the Hulk is in the room and nobody can stop him.
But like that lyric just came to me. It was no thought, it was there, and I was like, this makes so much sense to me.
High and lie, finally being rhymed, Unbelievable stuff. Truly one of the rare bands in history where a guy replaces the front man and everybody's like, yeah, we accept this. This is cool. This is the right guy.
I think that was also because the people that were around knew me from Higher Force too, and it was just like interchangeable. Just so happened I've done that in 2 pretty big, large-sized bands now.
And
too.
both times it's been like, yeah, that's the right guy.
Have been greeted with like a lot of positivity, So I'm very lucky on that end,
But I think it's a lot because of like their, like you said, everybody was just still friends.
Yeah.
There's no like obvious drama behind the singer change. It was like,
we had like a very tight circle of friends where, you know, no matter what, everyone was always like there for each other.
Yeah.
And if someone couldn't do something or didn't want to do it, someone else would pick up the slack, you know?
Yeah.
And it was...
Yeah, Bruce is gone now.
Yeah.
Pete's just going to...
I mean, we went back and forth maybe 2 or 3 times with Bruce and I, you know?
Yeah.
And it was never any issue. I remember like the first time I left 100 Demons was I was wanting to write a record for a long time, you know, because we were just touring a lot. You know, we go to Europe a lot. We're doing a lot of 30, 40-day tours. And I was like, we got to write a record. And it just wasn't happening. So I got another offer to do like a tour in Europe, and I committed to it. And I think, from what I remember, I told everyone in the band, and we were like, yeah, we're going to do it. And then once I committed to it, the guys were like, we're not doing this. We're not going to do another tour. And I was like, well, it's either that or we write a record. And I got a little mad, and I was like, I'm fucking done, you know? And it wasn't even an anger thing, like I was mad for like weeks or anything. It was just in the moment, and I just felt like just burnt on it because it was like stagnant, you know? So I left, and Bruce came back, you know. And
Is 100 Demons the first time where you're touring heavily?
Yeah.
Describe those first few tours for me.
I think the first real big tour we did, it was like us and like Full Blown Chaos, you know. It was like a 30 or 40-day tour, maybe give or take a week, from everywhere, starting on the East Coast all the way up to the West Coast and in between. And it was cool, man. It was the first time I ever really like played all these different states. Full Blown Chaos took us out on that, but since they've already did some national tours, but I think like a few shows into it, we swapped the order of the lineup because you know, we just had a lot of like fans that never saw us, and you know,
and this record
and it was chaos
hitting.
And that record came out and people really did enjoy it, you know. It had a lot of positivity towards it, and it was bringing out more and more people, you know. So
any stories or hijinks that come to mind?
I'm sure there's a million of them, but we were pretty mellow for the most part. It was, you know,
I don't know if I believe that.
it really was though. I don't think there was like any like true insanity. Well, what I consider insanity, you know what I mean? To most of us, like some fight to somebody could be like a life-defining moment.
Right.
To us,
the guy getting beat up, we'll
it's just
remember
like
forever.
it's just an everyday thing. You come just hard into it or cold towards it.
Yeah.
Nothing. I don't know. You know, I can't think of anything right offhand at the moment.
Okay.
But
what about touring Europe?
touring Europe was cool. We did a lot of tours over there.
Yeah. How were those?
They were all good for the most part. There was obviously sometimes you're like, you don't feel like you're leaving Germany. You know, you'll go there for like a month and you're like in Germany for 22 days. It just never ends.
Do you like touring?
I do and I don't. You know, I had some really great, fun times touring, but the older I got, the less I wanted to do it. Yeah. You know,
you're a big homebody, right?
I am. I enjoy being home.
You're also just a big guy, and touring at that size.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I had some great times. You know, I never said no. You know, as time progressed with Demons and we started playing less and less, and we turned kind of like into like a festival kind of band. Mm-hmm. You know, so we were only playing a few times a year. And I said I'll never tour again, but I don't think that's gonna stick. You know,
it's already
like with both these bands. I've got commitments to do some longer. I was like never more than 2 or 3 shows, and then I did 4 shows, and then can you do 7 shows, and can you do 2 weeks? And next thing you know, it's gonna happen again.
Yeah. Well, welcome back.
But I'm very happy to do it. You know,
you're doing more than ever now.
Yeah.
His father's son.
Yeah.
Any hesitance to put something so personal into the world like this?
There was. I grew up with divorced parents. My dad was around, and by no means do I despise my father. I just don't think he did a great job as being a dad. You know? And he's around, and he's part of the family. And at that time, I think I was really angry over just a lot of things. You know, not having what I wanted in a parent. You know. Learn to accept it, you know, and he's a great grandfather, and I know he's a good person. He just wasn't a great husband to my mother, and he wasn't a great father. But I don't think he knew how to be. You know,
There's just a time we grow up and we become cognizant that like, oh, my parents are people.
Yeah.
They're regular people.
Yeah.
And then you think about everything you went through, and you're like,
yeah. I mean,
I would have done that different. And then you get to another point in your life where you're like, I kind of get why he did that.
Yep. Yeah, so I bear no like ill will, but you know the song is pretty biting.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe
Has he heard it? Have you talked to him about it?
No, I don't think he's heard it too. You know,
Banger.
He loves the band. He's like a permanent.
That's the track.
He's like,
substitute.
somebody else's
Listen,
father. Fuck up.
He's 85 years old. He's a permanent substitute teacher at a high school. He looks like he's 60.
Wow.
He is everyone's favorite teacher in the school.
Is he tall?
He sends kids to my tattoo shop to get tattooed all the time. He's always bragging about 100 Demons and Hatebreed because of Sean. And he's like, you know. And
My son Sean's in this.
yes, you know. But he's everybody's friend, you know.
Yeah.
And that was him his whole life.
Sure.
You know, the responsibility of doing the bigger things wasn't there, you know.
Okay.
And I accepted it, you know. So we're cool.
And doing something like this is how you accept
Yeah.
it. You know, writing a song like this that,
is.
A, is this good, but B, so personal, helps you
Colin,
kind of look at it
Over the
objectively.
years, you wouldn't believe how many people have come up to me and like thanked me for that because they related to it so much, and it gave them strength to get over a lot of the bad shit that happened. Shit that was way worse than was with me. You know what I mean? Even up in Tacoma, I had a kid come up to me, a really nice kid, and told me how much that song really means to him, and it's helped him through a lot of, you know, really bad, dark times in his life, you know. To hear that, a song that I wrote 22 years ago and is still resonating with people, teenagers, you know, it's pretty cool.
Tell you a guy who that song resonated with.
Man,
Right there.
good man.
Good man.
I wish we could have talked about it together.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it together.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Banger.
I knew he loved that bass drop at the end.
Big time. On the new album, there's a song called Cold Wind of the Crossroads, which I was fortunate enough to sing on and write a little part for. And when we talked about the song in prep, the way you explained it, in my mind was like, oh, he just wrote the sequel to
It's
his
almost
father's
that
son.
feel to it, you know.
But instead now, like with this family of your own, trying to navigate how not to inherit these negative aspects that you've attributed to your father and your family who came before you. How was putting that together?
It was like, that just flowed, man. That song was like, exactly what you said. It's like, I want these lyrics to try to stay on the correct path and not inherit every bit of the bad that is in like a family member, you know, and how to avoid that and stay on track and be the best that you can be. You know, it's a battle. I could easily fall into traps where I'm not going to be a good husband or a good father, and I don't ever want to be that way. You know, I want to give my kids everything I know. I had the best mother in the world. She's my best friend. She is my mother, my father, my everything, you know. And I want to be a father to my kids like no other, you know. And it got to the point where I was like probably being too cool and spoiling the hell out of them and giving, like, indulging everything, you know. I've eased up on that, but you know, it's easy sometimes to fall into these traps of things that are just so ingrained in you. You know, you have to fight them, and it's a struggle still to this day. You know, not to fall into these negative spaces and just be the best you can be. You know,
And they're just gonna keep growing and get to know you as a guy and not just a father.
And going back to that song, like I wrote your part for you, and when you said, "Can I, you know, do my own thing and write something?" I trusted you, obviously, and what you did, man, it blew me away.
Thanks, man.
Because lyrically, it was so beautiful, and there were so many little Easter egg callbacks, you know, hitting like.
I'm a fan first.
I know,
you
and that's what was, I would have never have thought like that. And you connected those two songs together with those lyrics, and just like with these little hits of like, either lyrically with the words that I wrote or like vocal inflections that I did in songs. And it was so, when I first heard that, You Left Me Here to Rotline, I was like, I got chills, man. That's me. I was like, did you hear this? Did you hear what he did? You know, and you and Taylor on there were just like, it was one of my favorite moments on the whole record, man.
And I ended the part with Eternity of Hate, as that's a song on the Last God's Hate record that Brody and I wrote together. That's literally about the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's not wanting his son or his daughter to inherit his rage. So it's like...
Yeah, a perfect circle, man.
Yeah, bringing the whole family in.
Yeah, love it, love it.
As the official winner of HardLore's Hardest Band of All Time, how do you feel upon time of recording after finishing the record and like the whole band listening to the master back?
Yeah, we knew it was something special as it was going on. This was a very unorthodox way we did this record. I've never did anything like it this way. We only had maybe 2 songs written before we started.
Really?
Yeah. We wrote most of these, probably 85% of this record in the studio, or like at practice, and then pieced them in the studio.
Wow.
And we were doing 3 or 4 songs at a time, 2 songs at a time in chunks. And, you know, the first song, we actually recorded way more than what's on the record too.
Yeah,
we did like
did.
17 songs.
Yeah.
One of them is actually an old Higher Force song too, We're All Gonna Die, which we redid. And it was gonna come out later with some other tracks. But we pieced these songs together at Greg's and got through them knowing full well, once the first batch were done, we're gonna go back in there and do my part with them, you know? And that's it. Like I worked on it with Greg in such a way that it became like this method. I felt like we discovered our method of truly working together. Had the best experience of my life recording. I'll never record anywhere else with anyone else. I mean, I probably will, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, and the way we did it, I don't want to ever deviate from that path because
If you're comfortable, you're
it
comfortable.
was so good, like how we did this, you know? And when it was all done and finished, I was like, I think we really did something. Following up a record after 22 years isn't an easy feat.
It's very tough.
And you see a lot of bands that put out a record after 20 years, and it could be a fucking joke.
That's the curse.
Most of the time.
It
And
is a
most of the
curse.
time, people do that. There's very...
And I'm not
very-
tooting my own horn, and I never boost myself up to another level, but I really do feel it's an excellent
You've done it.
follow-up to a record and right where we should be. It's almost like we could have put out 2 other records in between this, and it would have led up still to this
to that.
record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You skipped right to
I
it.
feel like the important reason, or however you want to say it, is you guys all sort of stayed in touch with things. You never... Most of the times when bands come back and put out new records,
Yeah, so-and-so
and they
got
suck.
married. I went here.
Yeah,
I
that-
stopped playing music.
They're
all
not
of us are still
around.
involved in music and
Yes.
still like are at shows and know what's going on currently. And
I think that's a huge part of it. It's
Yeah.
like when people look at Terror. I mean, Terror has been a band
yeah, forever.
forever.
Yeah.
And they still just put out just amazing record.
Yeah.
And it's because they're just in touch with everything. They don't
Yeah.
lose touch with what's going on. It doesn't matter how old the band is. It just matters like where they are mentally in that. And it's like you could kind of tell when you listen to this record that it's like you're still very much in touch with the scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Do you experience people going into 100 Demon sets thinking they're going to be so scary and violent that they don't participate in fear and end up this set ends up being completely fine because of it?
The band over the years has had so much positive and negative.
It's going to
with
be so
this.
fucking crazy.
People like if ambulances are outside and hospitals are going to be overflowing to max capacity and this. And
Too many
listen,
mass-
there's been
mass
violence.
casualty events.
There's been hard moshing at Demon shows.
but then it's like, yeah, what the?
But a
move
lot
up,
of times
man.
we play that's just like, listen, I've always had the fantasy of being that guy that's in a band that has 30 people deep and there's not a giant horseshoe.
Yeah.
You know?
Everybody wishes.
Yeah.
And I've been getting that experience recently doing it with Blood for Blood, you know what I mean? Where there's just massive sing-alongs and that's kind of filling like a hole for me.
It's like the forced reality prophecy coming.
I love the sing-along and we get it with Demons too on certain songs, but still the moshing gets so crazy and out of hand. The back row is like, 300 feet away. And there's this giant open area. And I get it. People don't want to get hit. And we have some ignorant people in the crowd sometimes that are trying to outdo each other.
But if you're in there, you're fine. You just mosh to survive, and then you're good.
That's if there was a PSA I can have in this episode, it would be don't ever go up to a band and be like, dude, it's gonna be crazy.
Oh, listen, when we announced the record release show, how many posts did you see?
Yeah.
Like, this is the most ignorant show ever.
No, it's not.
People are gonna die.
Yeah.
You know.
It's why?
Why?
But people feed off that.
Yeah.
Like, they love it, but they're not.
They
love it in theory.
Yeah. They love it on the internet.
Yes.
Then when you go to play the show, everybody's like,
scared. Terrified.
Yeah.
And it's really nothing out of the like
it's a
they
show.
portray it to be. You know what I mean?
Backups on the self-titled were done by E-Rock,
Oh yeah, Big E was there.
Mr. Sean Shit.
Yep.
Is that Sean Martin?
Yep.
JX Scheisse?
Jay Smith.
Jay Smith.
Yeah, Shizzler, Shiza. He's like a friend of the band. He did a lot of tours with us, like in Europe. Sold merch for us. Like, great guy.
Pooch the Rappin' Dog.
Pucci, John Pucci, singer of Tyrant Trooper, death metal band that Big Rick was in.
Grippo. I'm assuming this is Ben.
Yep.
has to be.
Yeah. Which, shout out Ben. And
what's crazy is I don't remember any of these guys
doing this.
I don't remember any of it.
Gumby.
You got the Darren Brass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Gumby was there.
And last but not least, Joe Douche.
Joe Douche.
I'm going to be honest. This just sounds like someone took the liner notes and just made
real?
jokes.
Yes.
Joe Douche did backing vocals on a record?
Who's Joe Douche?
Wait, Joe Douche is a real person.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about a guy? Can you talk about Larry Dwyer for a little bit?
Larry Dwyer's great. He's a beautiful man.
I feel like he's like king of he's like at the center of every like Connecticut hijinks.
He's been in a lot of good hijinks. He, Larry's like one of the original members of Hatebreed, and him and Dave Russo. They're both in my. We had a band called Ig, and then turned into IGfits at our Halloween show.
It's coming,
and it's one of my favorite bands to play in. It's just because it's so easy and fun. It's just never a stress. We practice maybe 4 times a year before Halloween. We go out and play. And Larry's been, he's been in Death Threat, and he's just an all-around fun guy. But he's very different. Not different, but he's much more reserved than he used to be. He would be in the mix, like, just doing stupid.
Well, you showed me a video of him
shit.
doing the cinnamon challenge.
Yeah, so
and it while it's funny, he also maybe did the best job I've ever seen someone do at the
multiple
cinnamon
spoonfuls.
Challenge. It was crazy.
And then we got him.
No cough.
That was so crazy. Everyone was at this party. Exoskeletons played. Like Exoskeletons were, they played like a rare show. And it was at a house party in Connecticut. It was just full on fucking like early 2000s rager. And this is already after the Larry Dwyer gets branded incident, which happened at my house, which is another extremely hilarious video. But,
you branded him?
Yeah, with a red hot poker that was sitting in the fire for like hours. I put it on his raw ass, and he's like, And then I hit him again, and I dragged it down his whole ass cheek. You could see the skin just peeling away. You had to go to the emergency room. I think he got like $83 for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, at the time, he thought it was worth it.
Cool.
But if we started doing the same thing, what will Larry do for money? Will you do the cinnamon challenge? I don't want to do the cinnamon challenge.
Connecticut
Come
shoe
on.
nice.
So we got the first spoonful in his mouth. I think we gave him a second one, and then like people started pulling out bills.
You see Wes Isold in this video.
He's like, I got a 20. Next thing you know, he smashed more in his face, and then as he's like trying to put it down, you just see like cinnamon start hitting him from all angles. It's like dripping off his coat. It's in his mouth. He's like dying. Dave Russo, and they're like best friends, is wasted, and he's like, Larry Dwyer's a fat apple pie. It's just super fun.
Right.
Yeah, he's a good sport.
I'm glad we can immortalize Larry Dwyer right now.
Yeah.
Are you glad that the new 100 Demons record took 22 years to make
I think
that
so.
happen?
I don't think it could have been like this any other way.
Yeah.
Because
it's been close.
Yeah, there were multiple times where we started writing, and it just kind of like, even with Bruce, they had a few new songs.
Yeah.
We
They were
recycled.
good.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
And we recycled a couple riffs and maybe one complete song out of that batch. And we had the Drop the Hammer song, which I call Hex and Hammer.
Yep. Second single.
Yep. It's funny because we did the first 3 singles. None of those songs would have been songs I would have released as singles, and I wasn't opposed to it. It just happened that way, and they're all really solid in their own way. But man, I can't wait for people to hear the rest of that.
It'll be out
record.
At
It's gonna be out next week.
At time of release, it's been out. I hope you're all enjoying it because it's so good. How have you changed as a person, a vocalist, and a lyricist from between self-titled and Dwyer?
As a vocalist, I'm always on a quest to better myself, and so I really didn't put much work or thought into a lot of my vocals over the last few years because I wasn't doing much. But now that I'm back in the mix, I actually sought out some help with a vocal coach who I just got in touch with recently, and I'm going to be working with her actually starting tomorrow. She's going to be doing my warm-ups with me before every show, and I'm going to start some lessons with her when I get back.
You going to drop the name?
What's that?
You going to drop her name? Because she's
she's like
the goat.
Her name's Melissa Cross, who's like
she's the goat.
Well-known in our world of like heavy music and metal and hardcore, and she's come up with some of the best techniques in heavy music, you know, and some of the best terminologies, which she's created, which have become like brand name words now, that started with her. A couple weeks ago, I was looking to get her contact, and Ian, that's in Blood for Blood with me, is good friends with Jesse from Kill Switch Engage, and he knew he went to talk with her, so he got his contact. Jesse told Ian that she was like life-changing for him, and I needed this because I'm going to be playing multiple shows again, and like I said, sensitive voice. I want to figure out the way to do this properly, because I went years ago to get vocal training, but I just went a different path, so I was never able to figure out these like core principles of like sustaining my voice for heavy music.
Right.
So anyways, I got in touch with her finally. We had our first conversation last week. We got on the phone. I told her like my history. She was actually really excited to know that I sang classical music. She's like, "Oh, you're already there. You already know half the stuff that you need to know." And she's like, "Let me tell you a little history. I started in Connecticut." I was like, "Oh, you started in Connecticut? That's crazy." And she's like, "Yeah, in the early '90s, my first student was Ian Keeler. And that Ian Keeler is Ian from the band Dismay, which is like, a great old Connecticut band. He passed away as well. A great friend of mine. And she was involved with Ian and Morgan Walker, who ran a studio like right over the border in New York, and like all these people from the early '90s in Connecticut. Those were her first students. And once I told her, I was like, Ian's my dude, we just started chatting more and more and made quick friends fast.
Cool.
And I haven't done any true first lessons with her yet, but we've been on multiple calls already. She's already given me a lot of information. She's going to work with me tomorrow and Saturday, like pre-show,
That's
just
awesome.
like giving me some warm-ups and help. And she's like, "You're already there." She's like, watch the live videos of Blood for Blood, like the most current stuff. She's like, "Pete, you're already there. You sound great. You just need like what's the word? I don't know. Basically to sustain through the set. You need more muscle work with your chops." And
show me a thing or two after she shows you a thing or two.
And also maybe one time.
On the newest record, Embrace the Black Light, I would say you traded in a lot of the fuck you and die.
Yep.
And embraced, you're an occult guy.
Yeah.
You're the only thing you collect more than Star Wars stuff is occult objects, I would say.
I mean, it's always been an object of my interest, even at a young age. Lyrically, this record's it's just more mature. It's been. I didn't write a lot of songs about like fighting and smashing, and but a lot of people always thought 100 Demons was that. They thought they put us sometimes in this like category of like a beat down tough guy band. Just because the dudes are big and tough doesn't mean we're that like.
Yeah.
Just because we're beating you down.
Yeah. I mean, and there were Bruce wrote some violent type lyrics, but not fully. And
they were from an emotional
place, and same with me too, but I never considered any of the lyrics like ignorant.
No, 100%. Even
or gratuitous towards violence or anything.
Sure.
But with this record, I took my time, and actually, my friend Max Morton was him and I kind of co-wrote a bunch of songs together too, you know. It was getting
Incredible writer.
Yeah, he's excellent. And what my process for writing is, I come up with song titles first, and I write on my phone. I have like fucking 400 song titles, you know, and sometimes I think of these diabolical names or just like some really simple stuff, or I'll take like quotes I hear from people talking or even a movie, and it'll turn into a title, or it'll turn into like a topic, you know. And that's how I started writing this record. And at first I was like, shit, I haven't written a song in years. Like, how am I gonna do this? Yeah. And as I'm trying to work on the record, Mike Gettings from the band Soulless, and my buddy Alan, they're writing music, and he's like, dude, do you think you could help me write a song? And I was like, dude, I can't even write a song for my own band right now, you know? I was like, all right, let's do it. I go, come on over to my house. And he comes over, and within 30 minutes, I have a song written for him.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote that new single that they just put out called The Promise. It's very skinhead, it's very oi, it's very forced reality, but I banged it out. It's a fucking great song. And that literally kickstarted me to writing the new 100 Demons record.
Wow.
It just opened up my brain, you know?
Yeah.
And that was like really, it was fun to do that, and it was mindless, you know, not saying the lyrics are mindless, just came easy to me, because that's like the world I came from writing, you know?
Yeah.
But it literally kickstarted me. So next thing you know, within a week, I had like 4 Demon songs written already.
Yeah.
And then it was 6, and then it was like 8. And I was like, hey, Max, you want to help me out, man?
Yeah.
I go, here's an idea I have. And he would write like a few lines or paragraphs, and then I'd re-edit it into my own way, you know? And I gave him credit on the record because he did help me a lot, you know? And he has a way of crafting words sometimes that I would never think of in my own brain. So it was a great help. But a lot of the lyrics do touch on, you know, death and destruction, but in a very esoteric kind of way, you know, in otherworldly
A mature way.
lyrics. Yeah.
You did a podcast called The Stockberry Dark.
Yeah.
I was on it. It was great. I would like to know, canonized forever,
Yeah.
maybe your most undeniable haunting story.
For myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a kook, I guess, but I've definitely had
Kook out on it.
I've definitely had experiences. You know, I do believe in ghosts. I don't know what they are. Maybe it's just frequency, or it's just energy that's left behind. But there's too many unexplained things. But my first, like, I mean, I have so many of them, man. I don't know.
The one that's going to leave me here, goosebumps.
Well, I can go into. Well, anyways, I'll tell you a couple things. Like, years ago, I bought a house. My first house I ever bought. You know, it was a 2-family house in Waterbury. It was a piece of garbage. I paid, you know, like $100,000 for it. But it was my house. I was gonna live there. I was gonna rent out another spot, and ended up gutting the whole house. It started with a bedroom. I don't know what I'm doing in this situation either, you know. But I started gutting a room in this house. Next thing you know, a week later, like the whole 2nd and 3rd floor is down to the beams and rafters, and there's a dumpster outside. I'm like, what am I doing, you know? Pulled everything out, wiring, windows, blah, blah, blah. But got it all built up. Me and my friends did everything, you know. And this is months later passes, and I'm getting ready to move back in there. And I remember I just got like furniture, moved into the living room on the 2nd floor, and I'm just sitting there, and I felt so accomplished. No TV in there yet. I was like, I'm gonna be moving in here very soon. This is right when I started dating my wife, Shannon.
Legend.
And I'm sitting in the living room. Well, let me just preface this with this. After I bought the house and I was working on it, the neighbors across the street, wonderful people, they still live there. They're like, oh, you're the new tenant? You know, that house is crazy. It had so many different parties and people that live there, you know. She's like, I used to even party there when I was a kid. It's an old house, you know, it's from like the early 1900s. And as we're finishing the conversation, she's like, they told you what happened there, right?
This is the start to every horror movie.
I was like,
It's a shame about what happened to those.
yeah, it's exactly that,
there.
dude. And I was like, what happened there? And she's like, oh, well, so John that lived in that house, he was a wonderful man, Vietnam veteran. He committed suicide in that room right there. And I was like, oh, well, that's terrible, you know, didn't think much of it. And she's like, people say they see things.
Oh, God.
Dude.
An old
So
gypsy
now-
outside talking to
Flash
you.
forward, like, 8 months, and I'm sitting there after redoing everything, and it's like probably 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just sitting on the couch, and there's no lights on, no TV. And where I am in the living room, there's like, to the left, there's like a long hallway, and there's an attic space, which I turned into the master bedroom, and there's a couple other rooms behind the living room. I just see like it looked like a black image, like a shadowy figure, and it was like slowly walking towards me. And as it was getting closer in the hallway, I'm just like squinting, watching it. It started moving like something like out of a movie, like The Ring, or almost like spider-like. It was like these, and it started moving to the side of the wall, and it started coming towards me. And I'm just sitting there on the couch, and I was like, "Fuck this!"
Yeah.
And I just got up and I ran out of the house. I locked the door, called Shannon, and I was like, "Something's up in that house." She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I think it's haunted. Like, I feel something. I'm seeing things. Like, I just had one of the weirdest experiences, and I explained it,
And are you already into this stuff before this happens, or is this
Yeah,
what
I'm always interested in it, but I'm not like willing it to happen.
Sure.
It was like the furthest thing from my mind.
Wow.
And
Does she believe you when you tell her?
at first, I think she didn't. It's probably something else, But as I moved in there, like things like started getting a little weirder, I moved in. I had the whole cast of characters lived on the first floor, so many different friends from like Larry Barcelo and my buddy Ray and my buddy Sean, and probably like 30 different tenants over the years. It was like the hardcore house, my first house. That's when I started getting sleep paralysis a lot in that house.
That'll get you.
And my sleep paralysis stories get crazy, but these early ones were like, I would see shadowy figures on the third floor. I'd feel like someone creeping into the bed next to me and like whispering in my ear. I could feel their body pressing up against me. So really creepy stuff. And a lot of the times I just kept it to myself. And but there were times now where I'd be on tour with Demons. We'd be in Europe. And then I'd get a call from like Larry. He's like, "Yo, you home?" I'm like, "No, I'm in fucking Holland, dude. What's wrong?" He's like, "You're not home right now." I was like, "No, why?" He's like, "Every window and every light is on in the house. I just got home. All your windows are open. All the lights are on." I was like, "Well, can you go shut them? Like, what is going on?" He's like, "I don't know, dude, but it sounds like someone's up there." And for like multiple times, he'd hear people like running around in the floorboards above him, and like noises, and then I've had Frank Three Gun came on your show.
Yeah.
He's talking about a haunted house.
Yeah.
That's my house.
Okay.
He
There
had
it is.
he had a ghostly experience there.
Okay.
He didn't want to say my name on the show, but that was one of them.
That makes a
Multiple
lot of
people
sense.
that visited. Dre had a ghost story there. Dre from Donnybrook, and a lot of people that lived there had a lot of just really weird experiences.
I'm going to talk about something I haven't talked about on the show yet, as the show's only been back for a few weeks now. This guy paid me a visit in his apartment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break it down. I called you right after it happened because I knew you'd believe me.
Yep.
So, I told you this already, right? Yeah, I told you.
I
all
believe
about
so.
it. Yeah.
I believe I was there
You
that
were,
day.
yeah, you were there. So, before Bo's memorial at the Chicago Metro, this beautiful thing put together by Harm's Way, Taylor, Wendy, the Metro, so many people helped out. It was amazing. We were getting together his stuff for the stage. It was adorned. You can see in the photos. It was adorned with all his gear and a bunch of shirts. It was just this beautiful thing. It was perfect. On both sides of the stage, there's 2 clothing racks, and you guys already know this, but it's the best. And one side, the original vision for this memorial was one side was going to be classic, iconic Bo vintage shirts. One side was going to be Bo's bands. So myself, Chris Mills, and his partner Taylor went to the apartment we had specific goals in mind of like, all right, we need the Danzig tee, we need a Morrissey tee, we need a Typo tee, we need a Bjork tee, and we need this Metallica shirt with the eagle on it. He's wearing it on this fucking doll that he made of himself.
Yeah.
It's the shirt he sent the doll artist to be wearing. So I'm like, all right, we got to find this Metallica shirt with the eagle on it. And I'm going to put a picture in so that you can see it. Bo had a proprietary shirt assortment system that is the dumbest thing you've ever seen. This is why his shoulders were so big, because every day his shirts in his room were hung like an H&M. So it's this fucking pipe that goes around his whole bedroom with a museum worth of like $500 hardcore t-shirts and metal t-shirts. And they're all color coded. So the white shirts have a very small section over here, and then there's 500 black shirts over here. So we find almost everything. And I'm like, all right, well, we still need the White Youth of Today shirt. We still need this Metallica shirt with the eagle. And then there's a whole section of Metallica shirts on the left. So I'm combing through the whole thing extensively, and it's like, it ain't showing up. So I'm about to give up. And I asked Taylor, hey, have you seen this Metallica shirt with the eagle? And I show this horrific picture of him wearing it that he hated. Here it is. And she says, I've never seen him wear that, and I've never seen it in this apartment. So I give up officially. It's like, all right, on to the White Youth of Today shirt it is. Get to the white shirts, get to the middle of the white shirts, and a black object falls into my hands, folded up. And I just
dropped right down.
Dude, it felt like that's legit, crazy. Like I didn't reach for it.
Yeah.
I was doing this with the thing and it just goes boop. And like before I open it, I know.
You just knew that was.
And I open it up and it's the Metallica shirt with the eagle. And I just stand there and I go, yeah! And I'm like, thank you, Bo. And I call Taylor and Chris in the room. Because the whole time I was saying like, can't find the shirt, this sucks. And I just stand there, I'm going, oh my God! Oh my God, come in here. And it was the shirt. Then during the memorial, this is another fun one, but we'll get to the shirt in a second. During the memorial, right before giving the eulogy on stage, that was when it really hit me. Because it was like, all right, I got to talk about this guy. I have to summarize this guy's life in a few minutes after his uncle did
the worst.
And let me tell you, the most poetically poetic thing of all time is that at his funeral, his uncle gave the most dog shit speech in history, and it was perfect.
It was so bad that there was people silently booing in the
everybody was like Chris Mills shaking with rage, but realizing in the moment, like, oh, we're witnessing like the final poetic Bo moment, which is beautiful. So I'm like weeping, crying before giving this eulogy. That is online. So I go down to the green room in the Metro, and I'm just trying to talk to him. We're just going, show me you're here, show me you're with me, because I felt him. And I felt my eyes drawn to the capacity of the green room, which was 138. And I just stood there and went, and then went upstairs, gave the speech, and during the memorial, it was decided that he had too much cool Harm's Way, Double Cross merch, etc. So it was all that. It was all his stuff, and then just the one Metallica shirt. And then everybody said all night, as they looked at it, it turned to them. In this haunted room that we investigated just months prior. So, Bo, thank you for letting me know.
That's like beyond coincidence kind of stuff.
It goes surreal, and the guy who denied it finally told me.
He gave you the message.
He gave it to me. So thank you, Bo. How is it having Sean back in 100 Demons and finally being in a band with him again?
It's awesome. It's been a long time coming. We've always talked about this over the years, like how we played together on and off for the longest time. We've supported each other's bands, but we've never like truly traveled with each other, never toured with each other, never did any of that.
Other than being mutually miserable on vacation together. Yeah.
But the thing is this, vacations or any time we're together, it's like this weird rule we have. Only one of us could be like that because the other one props up the other guy. If Sean's like acting up, I'm the guy who's like, hey man, what's the matter?
Yeah.
we call it no more mad times. Which Greg, when we were recording, heard me say that, and he thought it was the most insane, hilarious thing that he's getting it tattooed on his leg.
No more mad times?
No mad times. And because we figured if both of us ever in a mood like that together,
What does that do?
game over.
Yeah.
No one's having a good time.
Yeah, literally.
We both have the like capability of walking into a room and like dictating the mood, like the energy. And it's not because we're like mean or fierce or whatever. It's just like
You're emotional
we can
guys.
carry this heavy emotional thing, you know? There's been so many times I've walked into a room, in a shit room, and everyone's having a good time. Within 3 minutes, no one's talking, you know? And I'm just like sitting there stewing like an asshole. And I realize it's like baby behavior. I just couldn't get a grasp on it. And Sean does the same thing.
But Sean is so conscious of it,
yeah.
where he'll go, I'm insane.
Yep.
Just don't even.
He has explosive
You're perfect,
personality.
you're wonderful.
He's been great the last couple of years, though. He's kind of made a lot of big moves. And
Sometimes I look at him or I think about him and I tear up.
yeah.
That's the best guy of all time.
Yep.
And
He's
yeah,
the best.
he's absolutely up there as the best.
Like,
guy
I'm
of all
so
time.
happy to like be able to do this with him now at this point in our lives, too, you know?
Beautiful. And then finally, like, making this crazy record
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
And he wrote a lot of it and played guitar on a lot of it,
we've
right?
been wanting to do it forever. And when Eric, our bass player, passed away, you know, a couple of years ago, within a few months, Sean just came up to Reese. She's like, I want to play in 100 Demons, you know? And it was just like a piece of the puzzle that just came together. And I was like, fuck, man, this is it. We're doing it, you know? The band was at a point where we were just playing a couple times a year. And I was like, guys, what's the point if we're playing off literally 2 records for the last 25 years? If we're gonna do this, let's give it one last go. This is already after I said I was done playing music multiple times, you know, but it just felt too good, especially with Sean back in the fold. I was like, let's give it a go and just do this record. And whatever happens, happens, you know? And it turned out to be like, you know, incredible writing experience and recording experience, and the offers and shows have been coming in. Like,
And you did it with Justin, my beloved, a Closed Casket.
Closed Casket is like no other. You know, Justin's awesome. We didn't really know each other before that, you know. And he's a very kind of like, I'm not gonna say introverted, but he keeps to himself.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got to know him, like, I felt like we were friends forever, and we talk a lot. And he's been nothing but great for the band. He believes in like everything we're doing, and he's giving us everything we want. You know, it's a great, great label.
Agreed.
Couldn't be more excited I'd rather be on that label than any major or anything like that, because it's so personal and it's real, and he's just as good as being on that with more care for the bands, you know? It's awesome.
Well said. So now you enter this chapter in your life where you're busier than ever as a musician, and you've now joined the legendary Blood for Blood.
Crazy.
What happened there? How did this happen?
So a few years ago, we were in talks of resurrecting Blood for Blood, and I was going to be the singer, and we were going to come back, record some songs, and kind of a whole plan was going on. During that time, I was in a lot of pain. You know, I have a lot of like broken body parts, you know, joints, back, shoulders, blah, blah, blah. While we were recording and getting in talks of playing, my back was fucking destroyed. And it wasn't impeding me from making future plans, but it was just tough for me to get around. I was nervous. COVID hit. We were talking of playing, and but COVID started, and we were all very clear with each other that, listen, we're not doing this. We're not going to tour. You know, we're gonna play some shows. You know, we're going to do some comeback shows, possibly play some festivals in America and Europe, and see what happens.
What about a record? Was that
very
in your plans
slowly?
yet?
Well, we started recording a couple songs, and actually went back and redid "Living in Exile" and "Wasted Youth Crew," and I did all of Buddha's parts over. You know, they're new versions of the songs. Also did "All Fucked Up." But it was like this cool, like acoustic version of it, which sounded like It was just awesome. I think a lot of that came from Rob hearing Murmur, and he's almost kind of gave want to do like a Murmur style like song for that.
Rightfully so.
But you know, we're talking with Rob during that time. He was like, Pete, I've always wanted you in Blood for Blood, especially after all the shit that happened. You know, when we were going to make our comeback before everything went down. I always wanted you in the band. I always heard your voice singing these songs. You know, Buddha did his job and he did it well, but your voice was meant to do these songs justice. There was certain like melodies that I always wanted to hear that he just, you know, couldn't do. And so anyways, I went and recorded like 3 songs and they were awesome. You know, they came out really good. Everyone was super happy with it. As we're moving along with that, we get an offer to go to like do a Persistence tour in Europe, which was like 3 weeks or something. And I was like, dude, I really I don't know if I could do 3 weeks, never mind like it's coming up in like a month and a half. And COVID hit, and I just don't know if I can do it because we never even got in a room together yet or practiced. And then a lot of like communication got misconstrued and no one was talking for a while, and I haven't heard from anyone, but I'm not really seeking anyone out because I was in so much pain. I was like, just like at home, like nursing myself back to life again, you know, just fucked up. And during that time, I think Rob went on Joe Hardcore's podcast and they started talking about Blood for Blood, and he made like a reference saying, yeah, we were talking about doing it again, and but I don't think it's gonna happen, and I don't think if it doesn't happen this time, it's never gonna happen, you know? And then Joe called me up and he's like, did you hear that? And I'm like, no, I didn't listen to it, but I was like disappointed hearing that, but I also was kind of relieved because I didn't know what was going on, you know? So it kind of...
Limbo's over. You have a definite answer.
Yeah, and it just faded away, you know, and none of us talked for a while, you know?
Do you think that Florida show, people might not know this, but there was like a 2-day period where there was an announced Blood for Blood show in like 2022-ish.
Yeah, this was all around that time when we were going to start doing
And I
stuff.
remember everybody being like, holy shit, we have to get to Florida now.
Yeah.
And then it changed and everybody was like, wait, what the fuck happened?
Well, what happened was John was trying to get 100 Demons to play.
Right.
And we were talking about Blood for Blood too. And I said, Demons can play, but I don't think Blood for Blood can. I haven't even talked to anyone yet. But for some reason, he got confused when I said, we'll do it. He thought Blood for Blood was doing it. And then just all of a sudden, I started getting texts one morning. I'm like, yo, what the fuck's this? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, look. And I'm like, he announced Blood for Blood on a show in Florida. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? You know, I texted John. I was like, dude, what is this? This isn't true. I was talking about 100 Demons. He's like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, oh, take it down, you know?
This is John Hollier.
Yeah, shout out John.
Shout out John.
Yeah, and love you, John. I can't wait to see you. But anyways, even Rob took it well, and he's like, maybe we should play it, you know?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, maybe. We talked about it briefly, and it just still faded away. And listen, there were no hard feelings over any of this stuff either. It was just all miscommunication, and we kind of drifted apart for a while. And then it all started up like last year again where, you know, Jimmy was talking to Rob and Rob was thinking about resurrecting the band again and recording and this and that. And it just kind of all came together again where we kind of picked up where we left off. We got in some conversations and we started talking as a unit again. And this time it really did work, you know, and we worked our asses off for months. We practiced for months and got that first set down where we did that first show at Big Night Live.
Yeah, why did you make me play after you? What the hell happened?
I had nothing to do with that show. Who booked that show?
Wasn't me.
That was Austin.
I think it was Austin.
It wasn't me, man. God damn, buried me. Great set.
It was probably not a smart decision on that end, just, you know, a secret Blood for Blood show, you know, but I think that's how it was looked at. No one really knew what was.
I think it was cool. I think it was worth doing.
But it was amazing.
It was a beautiful night, you know. You guys still played great.
Yeah, I said on stage I was between the Beatles.
I think the
and
only
Oasis.
band that could have followed us at that point was probably Haywire. You know what I mean? And
they had a great set.
Yeah. So it worked. Now it's all been working out. Right. You know, we're all super tight and we're all good friends, and it's been a fun ride, man.
Blood for Blood is a Connecticut hardcore band now.
It is. We've we loaded the band up with like 2 full-time Connecticut people and a guy that plays in
Jamie Pushbutton is honorary
He's
Connecticut.
honorary Connecticut hardcore, man.
And the 4th strongest man in America, Big Justin.
Yep, Justin is.
Here's a picture of him doing something insane. That was unbelievable.
Walking around with like cars on his shoulders, like.
And then you got Rob and Ian,
Yep.
the OG. This beautiful dream team,
Yep.
bringing back one of our favorite bands.
It's really cool because seeing all the comments, which, the thing is, I never really read much online, or even if there's negative shit, I don't let it bother me, but I've seen nothing but positive comments about the return of the band. All the bullshit from the past is gone. Everyone thinks it's a really solid lineup. The band sounds great, and everyone's truly happy. It doesn't feel like work, We're actually good friends. We hang out with each other. It's like, I'm super grateful to be in the position I am right now with two.
You got a good team, man.
2 of these monster bands with all our friends behind us, managing it and booking us and working with us. It couldn't be any better. And it's made it playing out and agreeing to play multiple shows that much easier,
And you got a ton of shows booked this year and next year with 2 huge crowds.
Yep.
And let me tell you who should be playing the huge crowds right now.
Who's that?
A little band called Murmur. Pete, I think this is when we really bonded.
Mm-hmm.
When the Murmur record was guys, Murmur, the Boundless Black. Pause this for about 38 minutes and listen to that whole thing and come back. This is one of the most beautiful records ever written. It is a deep personal favorite thing of mine. And the development of this, you and I communicated through the whole thing.
Yep.
I heard every mix.
All the stages of it.
Every stage, dude. And you're super shredded right now. You're looking great. I was a fat piece of shit when you first sent me this record. And by the time it was out, I was skinny because I learned running to Boundless Black is the perfect tempo for when I get tired, it slows down. When I get hyped up again, it speeds up. Mm-hmm. Run to this record and you will look like Pete.
I love that Murmur became an exercise record. It's usually
it's the opposite.
It's usually 100 Demons or Hatebreed.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
I need brain disengagement from the world. I don't need to be fired up. I need to hear about the reeds. I need your children singing.
How cool is that?
So cool. And that how cool is that for you as a dad?
It was I cried. I brought them to the studio and listened to it and cried, and it was
How was making that record? It's insane.
Awesome. It was like nothing else. I wanted to do something like that for years. We actually had a band years ago, Sean and I and Bubba and a couple other guys. It was called The Big Sleep. Did I ever tell you about this?
No. Great name.
I got to play you these songs.
Please.
That's where it started. The Big Sleep was an acoustic band. We had woodwind instruments and keyboards, very mellow, laid back, emotional, melancholy music, And we recorded a few songs. Nothing ever got released. We had probably 12 or 13 songs fully written. I have a couple different cassettes of live recordings that we did at practice, and we recorded a few in the studio. Never did anything with them. And then it kind of just faded away. And that was what started my journey into that genre of music,
What would you even call that? Dark folk?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Murmur
Definitely. It was dark folk, neo folk, and Big Sleep was at the time I was listening to a lot of this band Tindersticks and Nick Cave era, Boatman Call era, and some weirder Tom Waits stuff, and it kind of influenced that band. But Murmur, it took on its own life.
It's crazy music.
That started with me and my buddy Ryan White. He's he's super talented singer, songwriter. He played in a bunch of Connecticut hardcore bands. Also had a band called Call It Arson, which was on the cusp of becoming a very big band. Mm-hmm. That kind of fell apart. But him and I started Murmur. It was just the 2 of us. And we went into Greg's and started recording songs. And Greg became a part of the band too, and he helped us mold and shape these songs. Ryan would come with these parts, and I'd put my kind of darkness into it lyrically.
Yeah, you were the bass.
Yeah.
The bass vocal.
And
it's crazy that you and Ryan's voices are a perfect. Even my mom was it is amazing that these 2 found each other.
We sang together so well.
That's crazy.
And that was a very emotional record,
Yeah,
that was that brought things out of me I never knew were in there, you know. We had a whole cast of people that came in on it, you know, Greg, Chris Teddy, who was his partner at the studio, played with us. You know, we had a whole live band where we had like 8 people playing live. We did like a full string section, you know, from the Yale string quartet played with us. And we only played like 3 live shows, but they were all really special, you know. But writing that record, Ryan and I, then recording with Greg and putting all our touches on that final thing was really something. It was the biggest achievement of my life, because I was always said, this is what I want to do forever. This is my lifetime band. This is like what I'm most comfortable doing.
Why did you guys not take this thing full time on the road? This should be at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Brian was not capable of doing it. Okay. You know, and I love the dude. He's my friend. He was going through a lot of hard times. He just wasn't capable of doing it. And sometimes we butted heads towards the end. Sometimes it just, I think it just kind of faded away. We didn't fight, but we had a couple like little things that happened that just like slowly started like pulling us apart. And not even creative, just like almost like personal stuff. And he went down a different path, and Ryan recently, in the last actually couple of years, found religion, and that's become his life. Wow. And he's been writing a lot of new music, but it's Christian-based music, and that's the path he's on. And that's cool, I can't force somebody to like...
And Murmur's a demon, right?
Well, Murmur is a demon, yeah. But it's also a beautiful word too, There's like...
Great word.
And a lot of the Murmur songs were dark, and there was like occult themes in them as well. And I think as he found religion, he found it hard to relate and didn't really want to be a part of something like that.
Do you ever like want to try and convince him because it's such a big thing for you?
No. That's like trying to convince somebody you were dating to fall back in love with you again. It just feels like I don't ever want to have to convince anyone to do anything.
Right.
So we recorded that record. We also recorded a covers record of like 6 or 7 songs. The first record, we had 2 songs on the Mayans TV show, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
One of the cover songs we did is going to be on the pilot episode of the reboot of the show Prison Break.
Oh, cool. Oh, Hulu. Shit.
So
is that breaking news?
I think Pete's breaking news.
But also, since in between all this and after we, the band wasn't having, Greg and I also have been writing music together and still plan on doing something. We actually, a year ago, we started laying down, we have like 6 songs already written for our next record. And
the amount of songs you've written in the last 5 years is
insane. What happened? Dude, I don't know. Something fucking burst in my head. I don't even know how I'm doing it, because never mind writing and just getting ready for writing the new Demons record, then learning all the Blood for Blood songs. And I was like, my brain is on like,
it feels a new Blood for Blood album.
It feels full. Yeah, I mean, I'm recording the new Blood for Blood record too. It's full. So it's been hard to like, I still have to learn another song for the show in 2 days.
Oh, perfect.
I only know half of it, and I have to get Paper Gangster, because we're bringing back.
You just do this.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah. You just do this.
The verses are kind of tough. They're kind of like weird, paced and like mumbly. Yeah. All the rest of it's super easy.
Those first 2 records, there's a lot of songs where the verses are
wordy.
Like...
So I dread learning the old songs because there's so much there.
Yeah.
But I pounded, I would know at least 18, 19 songs now. And then we're writing this whole new record, and we're going to start playing those. So once you record those, you don't really learn them until you start listening to them again. I had to relearn all the Demon songs because they weren't songs we had in our repertoire. We were writing them at Greg's studio. Yeah, so it's just a lot. But I've also become quite prolific in the last few years.
Dude, you're on the run of a lifetime. It's crazy.
It really is insane.
We mentioned Ig earlier, but let's talk Ig before we wind down here.
Super fun.
You're going kind of back to your roots here.
Yep. Yeah, Ig was like, we just decided we want to do a cool, old school, hardcore band. And this was like in the 2005-ish area, 2006. Actually, maybe even longer. Probably around there. And that Ig was me, Dave Russo, Larry Dwyer, Matt McIntosh. All three guys are like two of the original Hapree guys, and Matt played guitar on Satisfaction record. And then Sean Brickley, he's like a bass player. He played in a bunch of Connecticut bands, mostly A Man's Ruin and Pale Horse. And so Ig wrote a bunch of songs, and we just started playing like locally, just punk rock shows and hardcore shows. Some of my favorite songs I've ever recorded in my life, dude. Like super fun.
Your Cunting Daughter.
Your Cunting Daughter is such a good
banger.
One. Yeah, We Trash, which is like
banger.
Trash it became the word in the early 2000s.
Yes,
You fucking with Frank Three Gun and Furnace and all of us, that was like the word for partying, man.
Wings Beer Sports.
Yeah, that was the same era. So Wings Beer Sports and Ig were like, everything was like, oh, that's crazy. So, did you get Ig tonight? And that became a song, Get Ig Tonight. And we recorded like a demo at Mike Z's house. Mike Z played guitar in 100 Demons for a while too. He had a little studio, recorded. Played a bunch of shows in Connecticut. Our first show was like fucking 300 people there for us. The songs leaked out online before we even put anything out. Everyone knew the lyrics of the songs. I was like, this is what it's
Ig
all
is the
about.
next big
Ig rules.
The next Ig thing.
Yep, the next Ig thing.
And then Ig evolves into one of the most influential bands to me of all time, obviously, in the IGfits.
Yep.
Truly opened the door.
Yep.
For many.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their Halloween Misfits cover band, but we started doing it, and we started out like so heavy into it. We're like, we're going to learn every song.
There's so many.
Even the shitty ones. Like,
so Rat Fink
yes,
right now?
Dude, Rat Fink.
Brutal song.
Mephisto Waltz.
Brutal track.
Like, come on. Yeah. Devil's Whorehouse.
Spook City. Dude, Devil's Whorehouse rocks.
It's good, but it's not a song anyone wants to hear. Yeah, we played Spook City. Our first show, we probably did almost every single fucking song.
That's insane.
That's too many.
It's just an hour long set.
This year will be the 18th anniversary of us playing. One show a year. One year we did 2 shows.
It's a lot.
We did one in Massachusetts. We get asked a lot to play like shows too. We just Well,
we get asked to play New England. I say, no, that's IGfits.
Yeah, that's our territory.
That's
but I do have an idea because we always say on our 20th anniversary, that's when either our kids are taking over or we're done. But I want to do on the 20th anniversary is get Twitch Fits over and we go head to head on the stage, back and forth all night long.
Cut this part.
Yeah.
Clap here. Cut
Genius.
this part.
Yep.
Let's go.
And have it end like that.
Dude,
and opening with another Misfits cover band.
We should do
and the legacy.
Dude, we should end with Halloween.
Yeah.
With like all 8 people playing.
Yeah. 100%.
Damn.
Well, we're gonna make a plan because we're gonna have to cross paths eventually.
Yeah.
That sounds like a threat.
We're all fit.
And you guys do you do it right? I mean, you do. We used to do like a little merch. The first maybe 7-8 years, we made all these cool shirts and like with the takes on like our versions. Like Where Eagles Dare was actually Where Eagles Trash. Like that was the shirt. You know what I mean? We would play the songs proper, but we'd have our different sayings on the shirts.
I will say that the IGfits show every year in Connecticut is like a family holiday.
Yeah, it's an event.
You get a text from Pete like, "Hey, show's coming!" Like, and everybody's like, "I'm already there. Don't worry about it." Yeah, like
for the most part, we played at the same place. We've varied some spots early on, but we're always back at Cherry Street Station in Wallingford. It's packed.
Is it not your favorite thing?
Oh yeah,
dude, it's the best day of the year for me. It
feels like Christmas. Every Christmas Eve, like every IGfits show.
You gotta get on.
Kingfits has to be a thing now.
What do you have favorite songs to sing?
Oh yeah, like favorites. I love Horror Business. Okay. I love singing Horror Business.
We haven't done it yet.
I love singing She.
Love She.
So it's just so right there in my range, and it just feels so good.
Yeah. London Dungeon is
London Dungeons. Yeah, it's just so that flow is so nice too. I mean, there's not one song I really don't like.
Sure.
Sometimes it gets a little hard, like Static Age. Sometimes it's like a tough one.
All the
really
Static
high,
Age, dude, he's
the high
so
screams.
high.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And I end up blowing my voice out.
Yeah.
And every year I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And every year everyone's like, dude, that was the best set you ever played.
The only song that we dropped, I think, a half step was Bullet.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
I love ripping through that.
Dude,
I can nail it.
I bet you can, dude.
But it's not easy,
that's
especially
the
after you play like
song,
20
almost.
songs. Know what song we always drop? We used to play it and then we stopped because I call it the rhyme of the ancient mariner of the Misfits.
Talk to me.
And it's Hate Breeders.
Whoa.
It's like a 3-minute song, but it might as well be 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels so long compared to all the other songs.
2 parts for 3 minutes. It's crazy.
And so we never play it anymore. And then every year we would have like a guest bowl. Like we always do Nike A Go-Go, and Frankie Hands would get up and sing Nike A Go-Go. And Larry always sings Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight? Right. And Matt always sings Spinal Remains. And, you know, Matt's son used to come up. He's older now. He's older than a teenager. But when he was a kid, he'd come up and he would always play like 2 songs with us on drums and rock it and just kill it, you know? Yeah. So we always do these kind of special things. I used to do the Danzig shopping list for the first few years. I'd bring the whole sack. And I literally would throw out Mountain Dew. One day I threw like a 5-pound rutabaga out and hit someone in the fucking head with it, you know? Almost killed them.
When we did the volume 1 just as like a benefit thing for Taylor's studio.
Yeah.
So when we did the volume 2, it was like a very deliberate thing, kind of as a tribute to Cale. The first thing was like, we gotta get Pete on the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun, man.
You're James Hetfield on that, you know?
Yeah, that was very cool.
So cool.
Me and Greg had fun just ripping through the songs, and it was like really, really nice to do that and just be on the record, man.
Which of all of your creative endeavors do you think most represents you as a person?
There's so many pieces of me, and like every one of them, it's hard to, like, I'm such a weirdo that I don't know what defines me sometimes, so I feel at home with everything that I've ever done. But I think Murmur probably, man. I just think that's like, I love every band, I love all the members, and I love writing music, and I love singing all different ways, but Murmur is like the one that just struck me the most, especially as I just got older, you know? It feels like that's what I can carry on with till I fucking die. Yeah. Am I swearing too much?
No.
I feel like an idiot.
Sponsors.
Balls. Cock.
Yeah.
Piss.
I don't like to sound ignorant, but I feel like I'm...
You're the ig guy.
Yeah.
Come on, we're trashing.
Murmur's the one, man.
Okay, I love that answer.
And that's like...
It is one of the best records I've ever heard.
I legitimately love that record so much, and I wore it out so much when it first came out.
It's crazy. It's become like a record. Like, we never pushed it, never had any help with it, and like it found its way in these like group places. Greg is out with Chris Teddy's band, The World Is My... It's like
World's a Beautiful Place.
World's a Beautiful Place. And they did a tour with Between the Buried and Me. Mm-hmm. And Greg was telling me that, you know, the singer from Between the Buried and Me, that's the band and him, like that's all they would
they're
listen
Murmur
to.
heads?
Yeah,
I'm a straight up Murmur.
And when I hear like people from like, when people are just from like other kind of worlds and like getting into that, you know, people that I think are respectable, like musicians.
Pete,
like,
it's undeniable. My mom is a straight up Murmur head.
It's like,
Murmur.
And that's a record too. My mom was too, you know, and it's like, that was a record like my parents could get into, and like just regular kind of people. And it hit on so many levels, you know? Yeah. It was cool. And that's not taken away from, I love all the other bands. You know?
No, they're all part of you.
I pick them all.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't see myself screaming in 100 Demons when I'm like 75 years old. You know what I mean?
I will say this. There is a theme with Pete in 100 Demons. Every single time he says, I'm not doing that. Yeah. He ends up doing that.
I'm a piece of shit.
He is going to be doing it when he's 75.
I eat my words all the time, man.
Damn.
I do.
Every 100 Demons story is like, I said I wasn't going to do it. Yeah. And then I ended up doing it.
I don't know what it is, you know, but ultimately I gave in, and I'm like, what else am I going to do? And it's not like, what else am I going to do? It's like, this is all I've ever done, dude, since I was 14, is play underground music and play in punk rock bands or hardcore bands or metal bands. Like, I've had businesses and they were successful, and I've had jobs and I've done a lot of cool things, but playing music has been my outlet my whole life. And now, at this point in my life, at 54 years old, it's like, I'm actually getting paid. And it's not about the money, but if I can...
It helps.
If I can, like, pay my bills and pay my kids' way through school and, like, do cool things, like, why am I not going to do it? But I enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's your... like, there's no... like, obviously, we're saying that in a joking way, but it's like, it's your friends.
Yeah.
Like that's
It's
for
been
me.
my whole life, forever, man. Is this
for me? Like when I look at King Nine, like if we're ever like, oh, I don't know. It's like we're never.
What, are you not going to see Gian?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's our friends.
Yeah.
Like it's just an excuse for us to be like, we're going to write a record, and it's just us hanging out.
Yeah.
This is
It's great, man.
That's the. I mean, I'm in all my bands are with my brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to break up with my brother, Why would we not do stuff? That's just how it works.
It's the best part about hardcore.
It is.
So your friends could actually not know how to do anything. You're like, you want to be in a band?
You want to play bass?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, like right now, like music that we play is bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
No. And
I've been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
me and Sean Martin talked about this the other day. There's always been bubbles where a band has crossed over and it's exposed the real world to hardcore.
Yeah.
And then there's that bubble there, and it always pops because hardcore is way too violent for the normal person. That, no offense to the younger kids out there, I don't think you would take offense to this, that is not the case anymore.
No.
So now the normal people are seeing it and they're like, this is just fun. This is great. I can relate to these songs. I can do this. I can do that. And that bubble has nothing to pop it.
Yeah.
So it's just becoming, I mean, for Christ's sakes, AEW
also think
pay-per-views got all these songs
good job.
on it.
It's become like almost mainstream on some levels, but it's given people an experience. First of all, who can afford to go see mainstream artists anymore when tickets are like $500, $1,000, $650? Now you can go see like bands like ours, right, for 20, 30, sometimes 10, but like in an affordable range and get that experience of live music, But Shannon, my wife, says this all the time. She's like, this is why it's becoming so big. None of these like normal people have these outlets that you guys have, and that's why they're starting to creep into this world. And that's fine by me. I don't care who listens to our music. Like, I want people to hear it. I want people to come
And
to
the
shows.
wrong people are going to get weeded out.
Yeah, they'll get weeded out
organically every
anyways.
time.
Yeah.
I don't care when bands get big. Like, if people want to play music professionally, what's wrong with that, man?
I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
I mean, if you're selling your soul for it and changing everything and your ideals and morals, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
But if you are who you are and you're just playing shows and all of a sudden, like, you went from playing 100 people a night to 2,000 people a night, who's going to say no to that?
Yeah.
It's kind of ultimately what we want, right?
Yeah. In some capacity.
In some capacity.
Yeah.
Are you a Sally's guy or a Frank Pepe's guy?
You're going to laugh at this. I've never had Sally's Pizza in my life.
Dude, what are you doing?
Isn't that crazy?
How is that possible?
Because Waterbury Pizza is even better than New Haven Pizza.
Well, where's Modern fall in that? For
Modern, I think, is better than Frank Pepe.
I think Modern is top.
too.
So you've had Modern.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I've honestly never had Sally's.
When
in my
is your
life.
birthday?
My birthday?
Yeah.
December 18th, 71.
That's not an ideal time to travel to Connecticut.
No, Christmas time in CT.
I'm going to come, when I come and we do the haunted tour around Connecticut, which we're going to do, I'll take you to Sally's.
All right, I'll take you to Dominic and Vinny's.
I can't go to Morcey's, right?
No, you can't. But Dominic and Vinny's is, I don't know.
Can't get a tuna
it's
pita?
become my,
You can't get a tuna
That's
pita
my
anymore.
favorite pizza. And that's
Okay.
been a Waterbury staple for, probably 50, 60 years.
You think it's better than...
I think all pizza's preferential, but
True.
it's fucking delicious. They cut their pizza into squares and put them in paper bags.
Paper bags?
Yeah, because they don't get soggy. Because boxes make pizza soggy.
And paper bags don't?
Yeah, well, it's almost like
ventilation there.
Yeah, it's like they wrap it in like this brown paper, almost like the paper you would
okay.
cover your school books with.
Yeah.
Now I'm picturing something
Yeah.
nobody should picture. I'm picturing a paper bag.
It's like a paper bag from a grocery store.
Yeah.
but full of the slices in no particular order.
But when you get that
Just
pizza
stacked.
home, it is still crisp.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I had a
Dominic
place-
Vinny's is great.
There's a place in West Hartford called Jimmy's that does the same thing.
Yeah.
And that was our local spot.
And there's another place in
fine.
Connecticut which I love too, and probably get shit for saying it, but I love Colony Pizza. Did you ever go there?
No.
Colony is like this bizarre pizza. It started in Stamford, Connecticut. Now they franchise it. They actually sell it at Yankee Stadium now.
Oh, wow.
And there's like a few of them in Connecticut. I think they opened one up in Orlando as well. They're personal pizzas. They're like this big. They're like this thin.
Mm-hmm.
They're like these crispy, chewy, cracker-like crust. It tastes nothing like you've ever had before. We got to go there.
Okay.
So when I got sick like a year and a half ago and I had surgery and I was like, the first thing I ate when I left the house was Colony. I ate 3 of their pizzas. I lost like 40 pounds. I gained it all back within within a month. I ate 3 pizzas in like a sitting.
All right. Well, we'll add it to the list.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
I have a question from my brother here.
Yeah.
Why is Connecticut the best?
Man, it's so easy. It's such a remarkable state in so many ways, a Passover state. When I hear other people talk about it,
I don't like
that's
Passover.
just a state we just drive through.
I don't like that.
And it's there's so much there, But you have to be from Connecticut to know these things, First of all, New England to me is one of the greatest places on earth.
Agreed.
I'll never leave it. I love the history of Connecticut. I love the history of all the states, but you're born in a certain place. You could either revile it or love it, And I love where I live. I love the people I'm around. We've had some of the greatest music and some of the greatest musicians come out of our state, and some of the greatest clubs. Just on that level alone, the things that I'm into, it's perfect, man. It's perfection to me. I don't need to search anywhere else.
Connecticut is perfection.
Yep. I mean, as somebody who's a visitor to Connecticut, and as Pete said, it was always one of those pass-through states when I was younger.
Yeah.
The more I started hanging out with Pete and everybody in Connecticut, I kind of was like, Connecticut's not so bad.
Over the years, as I've done things, I used to book the big fest, like the Big Oi Fest, or I would have these crazy DJ nights, and I'd have friends come in from not over the country, but all over the world. My buddies from Finland, or people from Spain, or Canada, and they'd fly in. Half these people, when they got there, they're like, I don't want to leave. First of all, they think every day is like that,
yeah.
But we created such a great vibe and scene that people just thought it was the greatest place on earth. They never had food like that. They never had pizza like that. They never had green trees and grass growing around. Their whole states are on fire. They're like, this is what it's like. They like the seasons. They see snow. They see summer. It's
great place to be a kid and be born.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
definitely.
Had a great time. Had a great time in childhood. Pete, I got one more question.
All right.
Pete Morcey. Can you tell me your top 4 hardcore records of all time?
Top 4 hardcore records. I hate lists, but I'm going to give you some. I already said one earlier, Lost Generation, Return from Inca's LP. Gateway record for me. Incredible record. Sounds like nothing else. HR sings on it. It's awesome. Super cool. You're going to laugh at this one too. Youth of Today, Can't Close My Eyes 7-inch. And not just because Ray was here earlier, but it's a great,
it's perfection.
Hardcore, mean, angry, straight edge record. I don't even care about the straight edge part. It's everything I want to hear in hardcore. And that will lead right into my next 7-inch, is the first Negative Approach 7-inch. And Tied Down. They're both those are gems to me, man. Those ripping, raging hardcore. And it still had almost this melodic Skinhead feel to it,
And you hear Why Be Something You're Not, and it's oh, that's hardcore.
Yep.
That's what everybody's doing after that.
That's what it should sound like.
Yeah.
And it epitomizes everything that I love about it. I know that one's on everyone's list, but it's huge.
Perfect.
And I'll throw you a loop here because this is still one of my favorite records, and hardly anyone ever brings this record up. PTL Club, they're a Massachusetts band. They had a record called 13 Commandments, and it's one of my favorite hardcore records ever. I think it came out in '85. The only other people I know that really love this record or even talk about it are Max and Foz from Cast Aside. We always talk about it, but
I've never heard those words in my life.
Yeah.
PTL Club?
PTL Club. So there used to be a religious TV show called the PTL Club. It's a take on
a 700 Club type thing?
But no, it was actually called PTL. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But anyways, the records, PTL Club, 13 Commandments is LP. They put out a couple other 7-inches too. One of the singer of that band is the father of one of the kids that was in a semi-current hardcore band from New Hampshire. Maybe it was I don't know. I got to find out. But the band is ripping, raging, Negative Approach style hardcore.
Wow.
Awesome. Love it.
Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
Pete, Can't thank you enough for
Yeah,
being here today.
I had a great time.
We did it. We made it happen.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna do the Ghost episode at some point soon.
It's coming. We're going to the Warren Museum.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna do it all.
Get your butts
this was
ready.
great, man.
What?
Yeah,
Get your butts ready.
Yeah, Dan, thank you. You were an excellent host. I hope you get your jacket.
Jacket's coming.
It's gonna be.
I'll be like I said. I'll be in touch for your measurements.
It's just a little bit longer.
Embrace the Black Light is out now. New Blood for Blood LP is coming out soon. You're gonna see Pete everywhere. He's very tired.
Please.
But he's having the best time.
Whatever you do not jump on him
Don't
on
jump
stage.
on Pete, but mosh as hard as you can, and don't tell your friends that it's going to be so
Don't tell
scary
anybody.
for the show. Pete, if you would like to share some last words of wisdom.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This was it was an excellent episode. I wish Bo was here, man. I was really looking forward to doing an episode with him. And rest in peace, brother, man. I know you're going to contact Colin again, so. And
he has already. He will be.
Yep.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you all for watching. See you next week. Bye.